Why are you entrusting our newborn baby to my sister every day? My husband's call interrupted my day. His usually calm voice was tinged with unexpected anger. Rapidly, I sought to dispel the misunderstanding. Our daughter is at home, sleeping, I assure him. Surprised, his tone shifted. Really? He exclaimed. Confusion enveloped us both as questions arose. I'll speak with my sister-in-law to uncover the truth, I resolved. I reached out to my sister-in-law, Marissa, and uncovered a startling truth. Let me introduce myself. I'm Linda, married to Bob for 3 years, just a year younger than him. Our joy was recently doubled with the arrival of our daughter Hannah. She's the epitome of cuteness, but being a first-time mom has its challenges. With my parents living far away, I didn't have the luxury of heading back home after childbirth. Since leaving the hospital, I've been navigating this new world solo during the day. I must admit, I've been getting by, largely thanks to Bob's unwavering support. Despite his long work hours, he's always there for Hannah and me, never once complaining. His gentle demeanor eases any parenting stresses I encounter. Whether it's struggling to soothe Hannah to sleep or tending to her cries in the dead of night, his presence has been a lifeline, and I'm immensely grateful for it. So you can imagine my shock when he called, his voice laced with unexpected frustration. Linda. Mom just called me. What's going on? He demanded. Confused, I replied, Your mom? What are you talking about? Why would we leave our newborn with Marissa every day? His mention of Marissa caught me off guard. She's Bob's sister, residing just a short walk away with their parents. Marissa, working from home, also takes care of her mother, making her quite flexible with her time. My husband's critique persisted. Leaving a 3-week-old baby, I couldn't fathom doing that. Marissa hasn't cared for a baby before. I get that you're tired post-birth, but you should have talked to me before entrusting her to Marissa, he expressed, his worry palpable. His distress signaled that this was no ordinary misunderstanding. Wait, I'm lost. Marissa caring for a newborn. Why did your mom call you? Why would I need your consultation? What do you mean? Leaving Hannah with Marissa? Have I been doing that? I countered, utterly bewildered. It's been nearly 2 weeks. Marissa didn't complain, not wanting to strain your relationship, but Mom couldn't stay silent, he clarified. Bob's revelation stunned me. It was a narrative I had no recollection of, with my daughter right beside me. With numerous questions swirling, I prioritized clearing the confusion. Swiftly, I assured him, our daughter's at home, asleep. She's right here with me. Bob's astonishment resurfaced. What do you mean? He inquired. I'm just as confused as you are. Honestly, I've been following the advice to keep newborns indoors, so besides medical appointments, I haven't been anywhere. I haven't even visited your family's house, and it's been a while since Marissa came over after Hannah's birth, I clarified. Then whose baby is Marissa caring for? Bob pondered aloud. I wish I knew. Why would Marissa fabricate looking after our baby? Each question seemed to spiral into another, leaving us both puzzled. As the lunch break chimes sounded through the phone, I made a decision. I need to speak with Marissa. I want to understand why she might concoct such a lie. If there's a misunderstanding and she thinks she's caring for Hannah, that's concerning. I'll also call Mom, I announced. Bob paused before expressing his regret. I'm sorry for doubting you. I was just really worried about Hannah. It's all right. You're concerned about Hannah, aren't you? Besides, when I told you she's right here, you didn't doubt me. You trusted me, I comforted him. After our call ended, I wasted no time dialing my sister-in-law's number. Marissa, do you have a moment? There's something I need to discuss, I started. Linda, I need to talk to you too, Marissa replied. Marissa and Bob are close in age, which is why she's the same age as me despite being my sister-in-law. We've always had a good relationship, even going out together when I was dating Bob. So, it puzzled me why she hadn't mentioned anything about this situation. I couldn't fathom why she would fabricate such a story. Well, now's a good time. Bob just filled me in. Marissa, what's this about you looking after Hannah? I haven't left her with anyone, I questioned, bewildered. Marissa's surprised voice followed, accompanied by the sound of a crying baby. It seemed she was indeed tending to an infant. Listening to Marissa's reaction, a realization dawned on me. Marissa wasn't fabricating anything, she genuinely believed she was caring for Hannah. To dispel her misconception, I began to explain the truth. To dispel her misconception, I began to explain the truth. Hannah's right here with me, fast asleep. I'm really baffled by all of this. But how did you end up with a baby, Marissa? And why do you think it was Hannah? I asked, seeking clarity. Marissa replied, shedding light on the situation. Last week, Dad dropped off a baby with me. He said, Linda seems overwhelmed, so you should assist her with the baby. This revelation left me dumbfounded. Then Marissa disclosed another shocking detail. I was terrified because I've never cared for a baby. I hadn't heard from you, Linda. And when I considered calling you, Dad warned, if you contact Linda, she'll just stress out. Show some consideration for your sister-in-law. I have my own responsibilities, even when I'm at home. It appeared that my father-in-law's deceit initiated this chaos, but the identity of the child Marissa was caring for remained unclear. Thinking that confronting my father-in-law directly might resolve the confusion, I inquired if he was home. Unfortunately, he's out at the moment. Lately, he returns home late in the evening, takes the child Marissa's been tending to, claiming he'll return her to Linda, then leaves again. He usually returns in about 20 to 30 minutes, Marissa explained. Frustrated by my father-in-law's manipulation involving my daughter and me, I felt compelled to address the situation head-on. I understand. I'll discuss this with Bob, but we might visit tonight, I decided before ending the call. I promptly emailed my husband, detailing what I learned from his sister. We should ask Dad directly, came the suggestion. So when Bob returned home, we made our way to my in-laws. Along the journey, Bob recounted his conversation with his mother. Mom was also quite upset to discover that the child she thought was her grandchild wasn't. That's a significant shock, isn't it? I didn't envision Hannah's first family gathering unfolding like this. It's quite a complicated situation, he elaborated. Due to her back issues, his mother hadn't met our daughter yet. I had hoped to introduce Hannah to her once she was ready to venture out after a month, but now, I found myself disheartened that our introduction had to occur amidst such turmoil. Upon reaching my in-laws' home, we found my mother-in-law and sister-in-law both appearing bewildered as we entered. Marissa spoke up. Bob, Linda, Dad mentioned he would return the child we've been caring for, but he hasn't returned yet. Understanding the situation, Bob intervened. I see, Mom. Despite the confusion, this is our daughter Hannah. With that, I brought Hannah closer to my mother-in-law. Upon laying eyes on Hannah, my mother-in-law's expression softened. She's absolutely adorable. She bears a striking resemblance to Bob when he was a baby. I'm thrilled to finally meet her, and Linda, you've done remarkably well. I'm sorry you've been entangled in all of this, she expressed with sincerity. It's all right. I'm just as perplexed as everyone else, I responded. Just as I spoke, Marissa chimed in. I'm baffled too. Who is this child I've been caring for? I don't understand why Dad would lie like this. I've been putting in so much effort, believing it was Hannah. He should consider my feelings too. Marissa's frustration mirrored my own towards our father-in-law. Attempting to lighten the mood, Bob interjected, but Marissa, you've met Hannah before. You should have noticed it's a different baby. Well, don't all babies look alike? I thought something was off. But I assumed babies' appearances change quickly. Marissa hastily defended herself. At that moment, our father-in-law returned. I'm back. Wait, why are Bob and Linda here? Our father-in-law's panic was palpable. This deception stemmed from him. The rest of us shared disapproving glances, each silently accusing him. Struggling under the tension, our father-in-law began to stutter. Oh, Linda, it's been some time. What brings you here? Did you forget something? He attempted to divert attention. Turning to Marissa, he added, Marissa, what's going on? I asked you to check for forgotten items. I seethed with anger at our father-in-law's manipulation, using mine and my daughter's names in his deceit and then shifting the blame onto Marissa. I instinctively held my daughter closer, feeling the tension radiate through the room. Both my husband and sister-in-law shared the same sentiment, their fists clenched in frustration. It was me who broke the silence, the anger evident in my voice. Dad, seriously, are you honestly saying that? This is beyond unacceptable even for you. What do you mean? My father-in-law seemed startled by the intensity of my tone. My husband and sister-in-law echoed my sentiments, demanding answers. Dad, explain yourself. Linda has never left Hannah with anyone. Why would you fabricate such a lie? There must be a reason for someone to care for a stranger's newborn, right? That's correct. You manipulated me into caring for a child. Who is this baby? I'm terrified, even if it's my nephew's, let alone a stranger's. I won't tolerate it anymore, Marissa interjected with rapid-fire conviction. My father-in-law was speechless, while the three of us continued to glare at him, demanding the truth. However, my mother-in-law's reaction was different. She turned pale, murmuring, "No, it can't be. You're not still involved with her?" Her words left my husband, sister-in-law, and me stunned. My father-in-law began to sweat, feigning innocence. What? What are you talking about?" he stuttered, attempting to deflect. But my typically calm husband had reached his limit. "Dad, enough with the act. You've been playing dumb all along. Do you think you can deceive us? We know you've been lying about everything. Just come clean." "Wait, Bob, please calm down." I attempted to intervene, but my husband persisted. "Dad, you've been manipulating Linda and Hannah to cover up your deceit, and you owe Marissa an apology. Caring for a newborn is a monumental responsibility, even if it's your own child. Consider how overwhelming it must have been for Marissa, who has never experienced parenthood before." Once he started, my husband couldn't halt his tirade. Despite whatever excuses our father-in-law might conjure, my husband remained steadfast. Perhaps realizing he couldn't evade the truth any longer, my father-in-law spoke softly, and then he confessed to the unbelievable truth. "That child is mine." At his admission, my husband's momentum dissipated, his mouth hanging agape in disbelief. Marissa and I were equally stunned into silence. It was my mother-in-law who shattered the quiet. Her voice quivered, tears brimming in her eyes. "I knew it. You're still involved with her. I was foolish to forgive you before." "Involved with her?" my husband queried, puzzled. In response, our father-in-law's complexion paled even further. Ignoring him, my mother-in-law continued, "He had an affair. It happened around the time you two were getting married, about 3 years ago. He promised me he'd never do it again, and I forgave him. But now, that's why I thought Hannah bore a resemblance to Bob. She's his flesh and blood after all. I thought she was my true grandchild." Unable to contain her emotions any longer, my mother-in-law broke into tears. Witnessing her distress only fueled my anger towards my father-in-law. My husband regained his composure, unleashing his wrath upon our father-in-law. "You're despicable, Dad. You not only deceived us but betrayed Mom twice. How could you stoop so low? I can't fathom that someone like you is our father." Bob's outburst was followed by Marissa's incredulous response. "What do you mean by my child? Are you joking? You had a child with your mistress and left it with me? I can't believe this. How could you do something so despicable? I never want to see your face again." Despite the scathing remarks from his own children, our father-in-law merely chuckled and remarked, "Calm down. There's nothing we can do about what's already happened. The mistress didn't want to marry me or anything like that. She just didn't have any money, so she had to work. In the meantime, I had to take care of the child." I couldn't bear witnessing my father-in-law's callousness. "Enough," I interjected, my voice trembling with anger. "This isn't a laughing matter. A life has been brought into this world. Do you grasp the gravity of that at your age?" My father-in-law seemed taken aback, losing his balance and falling onto the ground. However, instead of offering assistance, Bob and Marissa hurled insults. "You worthless old man, you're no longer our father. I can't even stand to look at you." "Get out of our sight," they exclaimed. Even faced with their fury, my father-in-law attempted to downplay the situation, saying, "Don't say such things." My lips tensed as I stared daggers at my father-in-law. "I no longer have the patience to tolerate someone like you. Let's get divorced," I declared firmly. My father-in-law's smile vanished, his face contorting with wrinkles as he became serious. "But didn't you forgive me last time?" he pleaded. However, his attempt at manipulation was futile. "Yes, I forgave you for your infidelity, but I won't tolerate your disrespect any longer," I retorted. "If having you out of our lives brings peace to our home, then so be it. And as for my survival, I'll manage just fine without you," I added. As my father-in-law clung to my mother-in-law's feet, I watched him with disdain. Bob and Marissa mirrored my sentiments, their gazes cold and unwavering. It was evident that everyone in the room had reached their limit with my father-in-law. Marissa erupted in anger. I'll take care of Mom, so we'll be fine without you. But how do you plan to live? You've always relied on Mom for everything from cooking to laundry. Marissa's words visibly rattled my father-in-law. He turned to my mother-in-law with pleading eyes. You wouldn't leave me, would you? We spent decades together. You can't imagine life without me, can you? However, his hopes were swiftly dashed as my mother-in-law shook off his clinging arm. Stop kidding yourself. How much do you need to degrade people to feel satisfied? Who would want to stay with a cheater like you? I'm filing for divorce right now. If you're so fond of her, why don't you go be with your mistress? My mother-in-law snapped, her voice firm and resolute. What? Wait, let's talk. We can fix this. That woman meant nothing to me. You're the only one I love. My father-in-law pleaded, clutching onto my mother-in-law once more, but he was met with another wave of Marissa's fury. Talking to someone who refuses to acknowledge their mistakes is pointless. We're leaving this place soon, and Mom is coming with us. Until we're gone, stay away from home, Dad. I never want to see you again. Now get out. Marissa demanded, attempting to forcefully escort my father-in-law out. When he refused to budge, Bob had to physically drag him away. Please wait. Give me another chance, just one more. My father-in-law pleaded until the very end, but his pleas fell on deaf ears as nobody paid him any attention. As Marissa had foreseen, my father-in-law's life spiraled into chaos. Struggling to manage even the simplest tasks, he found himself unable to tolerate the growing clutter and filth in his home. Desperate for assistance, he turned to his mistress, only to be met with rejection at her doorstep. It appeared she had no intention of marrying him either. With no one left to care for the children, his mistress was unable to work, leading to financial strain. She began pressing my father-in-law for alimony, even resorting to legal action to secure child support. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law relocated to an apartment not far from ours. As over a month had passed since Hannah's birth, I started visiting them more frequently, accompanied by Hannah. I maintained my amicable relationship with Marissa, acting as if nothing had changed, and my bond with my mother-in-law remained strong. Moving forward, I'm determined to raise my daughter to the best of my abilities, with the support of my husband, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law by my side.
The text message from my bank hit me like a punch to the gut. Alert! Account ending in 47 the new one balance below $100. That was impossible. I'd saved over $20,000 in that account for my daughter's medical expenses. My name is Jillian, and in that moment, standing in the emergency room where I work as a nurse, I knew exactly what had happened. My mother had struck again. Jill, you okay? Talon touched my shoulder, his concerned face swimming into view. You look like you've seen a ghost. She did it again, I whispered, my hands shaking as I pulled up my banking app. My mother, the words caught in my throat as I stared at the balance. 47.21. Take 5, Talon said, already reaching for my patient charts. I've got your patients covered. I barely made it to the break room before the tears started falling. 5 years of careful saving, gone. Every extra shift, every holiday I'd worked, every penny I'd scraped together for Raylin's future, vanished. My phone rang. Mother, of course. Where is it? I demanded, not bothering with hello. Sweetie, I can explain, she slurred. I had a system. It was foolproof this time. Where is my daughter's money? The cards were hot, baby. I just needed a little more to win it all back. You stole $20,000 from your granddaughter. My voice cracked. A passing colleague glanced through the break room window, and I turned away. Don't be so dramatic, Mother said. I'll win it back. I'm due for a big one. I can feel it. Where are you? The Golden Lotus. But listen, if you could just spot me another 1,000, I hung up and grabbed my keys. Thank God Raylin was at her after-school program. I couldn't face her right now, couldn't tell her that the money for her future medical needs was gone. The Golden Lotus Casino loomed ahead, its gaudy neon signs a beacon for desperate souls like my mother. I found her at a slot machine, cigarette dangling from her lips, surrounded by empty glasses. Mother? She didn't look up. Just one more spin, honey. This one's gonna hit big. I reached over and yanked the power cord from the wall. The machine went dark. Hey, she protested, spinning to face me. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes glassy. I was about to win. You need to come home, now. Don't take that tone with me, young lady. I'm still your mother. Are you? I grabbed her purse, dumping its contents onto the floor. My bank card fell out, along with several cash advance receipts. A mother doesn't steal from her granddaughter's medical fund. Security approached us. Is there a problem here? No problem, I said, snatching up my card. She's leaving. Like hell I am. Mother tried to plug the machine back in. I've got a system. Ma'am, the security guard said, I think it's time to go. Outside, Mother stumbled against me. You're overreacting. I would have paid it back. Like you paid back the $5,000 last year, or the $3,000 before that. I helped her into my car, fury and despair warring in my chest. This was different. This was Raylan's money. That child is perfectly healthy. She has a congenital heart condition. I slammed my hand against the steering wheel. You know this. You were there when the doctor told us she might need surgery someday. Mother waved dismissively. Insurance will cover it. No, it won't. Not all of it. I started the car, my hands trembling. This is the last time, Mother. I mean it. She snorted. You always say that. Because you're living in my house. Because I trusted you. Because... I stopped, a memory suddenly surfacing. Dad's letter, the one he'd left before he died. Something about the house deed. Whatever you're thinking, stop it, Mother said, reading my expression. I'm your mother. You need me. I pulled into our driveway, where Mrs. Peterson from next door was walking Raylan home from the bus stop. My beautiful 5-year-old broke into a run when she saw me. Mommy, Grandma, look what I made in art class today. I caught her in my arms, breathing in her sweet scent, while Mother stumbled past us into the house. Baby, I whispered, holding Raylan tight, how would you like to have a sleepover at Aunt Freya's house tonight? Really? Can I bring Mr. Whiskers? Of course you can. I texted Talon's sister quickly, then helped Raylan pack an overnight bag. Once she was safely with Freya, I had work to do. Dad's letter was in my desk drawer, untouched since his death 2 years ago. I'd been too angry to read it then, too hurt by his abandonment. But now I remembered something he'd said about protecting us from Mother's unfortunate habits. As I pulled out the envelope, Mother's voice drifted down from upstairs, already on the phone with another casino. I unfolded the letter with trembling fingers, and there it was. The key to saving our future. Dad hadn't abandoned us after all. He'd left us a way out. Dad's handwriting was shaky, but his words were clear as day. If your mother ever endangers your future or Raylan's, there's a reconciliation clause in the house deed. She can be removed without her consent under specific conditions. I read the letter 3 times, my hands trembling. All this time, I'd thought Dad had abandoned us, but he'd been protecting us even after death. My phone buzzed. Talon, how are you holding up? I found something, I said. Dad left us a way out. A way out of what? Everything. I heard Mother upstairs, still talking to the casino. Can you meet me for coffee? I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy. 20 minutes later, I slid into a booth at the 24-hour diner across from the hospital. Talon pushed a steaming cup toward me. Okay, spill it. I spread Dad's letter on the table. He knew she'd never stop gambling, so he built in a safety net when he put the house in both our names. Talon leaned forward, reading. Jesus, Jill, this is serious stuff. She stole my daughter's future, I said, my voice cracking. $20,000 gone in what? A few hours? Have you thought this through? Taking her name off the deed means? It means she'll have nowhere to go. I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup, seeking warmth. I know. The waitress stopped by, and we fell silent until she left. Remember last year? I asked. When Raylan had that heart scare? Talon nodded. He'd been there in the ER that night. The doctor said she might need surgery before she's 10. Major surgery, Talon. And now the money's gone. My voice broke. My baby's money is gone. There are other ways. No. I pulled out my phone, showing him the banking app. Look at the withdrawal times. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. While I was working nights trusting her to watch Raylan, she was stealing from us. Jill. She used my card, Talon. She must have watched me enter the PIN. She planned this. The diner door chimed, and a group of nurses from our shift walked in. They waved, but seemed to sense we needed privacy. What does your gut tell you? Talon asked quietly. That I'm turning into her. I pressed my palms against my eyes. Calculating, manipulative. Stop. Talon reached across the table, pulling my hands down. You're protecting your daughter. That's what mothers do. But am I any better? Planning to make her homeless? You know what the difference is? He tapped Dad's letter. You're doing this to protect someone. She did what she did to feed an addiction. My phone buzzed again. Mother. Where are you? I need to borrow your car. I texted back. No, don't be difficult. I need to run to the bank. There's nothing left to take. The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared several times before. You're just like your father. Never understood the big picture. I turned the phone face down, fighting tears. Hey, Talon said softly. What's the next step? I pulled out a business card I'd been carrying for months. Dad's old lawyer, Edgar, he's the one who drew up the deed. Then that's where you start. I already called. He can see me tomorrow morning. I traced the letter's edge with my finger. Is it wrong that part of me hopes she fights this? That she finally shows some kind of, I don't know, remorse? It's not wrong. Talon squeezed my hand. It's human. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Freya. Raylan wants to say goodnight. Video call, okay? Moments later, my daughter's face filled the screen. Mommy, Aunt Freya let me help make cookies. That's wonderful, baby. I forced a smile. Are you being good? Uh-huh. Can we do more sleepovers? This is fun. Behind her, Freya gave me a thumbs up. My daughter was safe, loved, and completely unaware of the storm brewing at home. We'll see, sweetheart. Now get some sleep, okay? Okay. Love you, Infinity. Love you, Infinity +1. After ending the call, I looked at Talon. I have to do this, don't I? He nodded slowly. You know what they say on airplanes? Put your own oxygen mask on first? Yeah? This is your oxygen mask, Jill. You can't help anyone if you're drowning. I folded Dad's letter carefully, tucking it away. The appointment with Edgar is at 9. Want me to come with? No. I stood up, gathering my resolve. This is something I need to do alone. As I drove home, Mother's lights were still on. I could hear her through the open window, making promises to someone on the phone, probably another casino's credit department. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of removing her name from the deed. Tomorrow, I'd take the first step toward saving my daughter's future. But tonight, I had one more letter to read. The rest of Dad's goodbye, the part I'd been too angry to face before. Edgar's office smelled like old leather and coffee. He hadn't changed since I'd last seen him at Dad's funeral. Same bow tie, same wire-rimmed glasses, same compassionate eyes. Your father was a wise man, he said, studying the letter. He knew this day might come. Can it be done? I asked, perched on the edge of my seat. Can we remove her name? Edgar pulled out a thick folder. Your father built in very specific conditions: financial misconduct, endangerment of a minor's well-being, misuse of shared assets. He looked up. Do you have documentation of the theft? I placed a manila envelope on his desk. Bank statements, withdrawal receipts, cash advance slips. She took everything while I was working nights. He examined each document carefully. And the money was specifically designated for your daughter's medical care? Yes. I have letters from Raylan's cardiologist about her condition and potential future procedures. Good. He made notes on a legal pad. The fact that she used your card without permission makes this criminal theft, not just a family dispute. My stomach churned. Will she go to jail? Only if you press charges. Edgar leaned back. The deed modification can proceed without criminal charges, but you should know, she won't go quietly. What do you mean? She'll be served notice. She'll have 30 days to contest the modification. If she does, there will be a hearing. I twisted my hands in my lap. Will I have to testify? Yes, and you'll need to be prepared for what she might say. People facing consequences often lash out. My phone vibrated. Mother again. I ignored it. How long will this take? Best case, 2 months. Worst case if she fights it, 6 months or more. I can't wait that long. I leaned forward. She's still in the house, still asking for money. Last night My phone buzzed again. This time it was Raylan's school. I'm sorry, I said. I have to take this. Mrs. Fox, this is Nurse Sandra. Raylan had a bit of a fall during recess. My heart stopped. Is she okay? Just a scraped knee, but given her condition, we thought you'd want to know. Her heart rate was slightly elevated. I'll be right there. I hung up and looked at Edgar. My daughter, go, he said, already gathering the papers. I'll start the paperwork today. But Jillian? He caught my eye. Once this starts, there's no going back. Are you sure? I thought of the empty bank account, of Raylan's future surgeries, of Mother upstairs making promises to casinos while my daughter slept. I'm sure. The school nurse's office was quiet when I arrived. Raylan sat on the exam table swinging her legs, a Disney princess Band-Aid on her knee. Mommy, she reached for me. I fell, but I was brave. I hugged her tight, checking her pulse out of habit, strong and steady. What happened, baby? I was chasing Marcus and tripped on the playground, but look. She pointed to her knee. Nurse Sandra gave me Ariel. The nurse appeared with an incident report. Her vitals are normal now. We monitored her for 15 minutes just to be safe. I signed the form, trying to keep my hand steady. This was why we needed that money. One fall, one scraped knee, and my world stopped spinning until I knew her heart was okay. Can I go back to class? Raylan asked. We're making solar systems. After confirming she was truly fine, I watched her skip back to class, her backpack bouncing. My phone buzzed yet again. Where have you been? Mother demanded. I need you to come home. The casino manager is being completely unreasonable about my credit line. I'm at Raylan's school. She fell. Oh, she's fine. That child bounces like rubber. Now about the casino. No. The word came out sharp, final. No more casinos. No more money. No more chances. Don't take that tone with me. I raised you better than... Did you? Did you raise me, Mother? Or did I raise myself while you chased jackpots? Silence then. You sound just like your father before he abandoned us. He didn't abandon us. I thought of the letter, of Edgar's office, of all the pieces falling into place. He protected us, and now I'm protecting my daughter. I ended the call and texted Talon. It's done. Lawyer started the paperwork. His reply came quickly. You okay? No, but I will be. Walking back to my car, I saw Raylan through her classroom window. She was holding up a papier-mâché planet, laughing with her friends, her scraped knee already forgotten. She was everything good and pure in my world, everything worth fighting for. My phone rang again. Edgar. "The papers are ready," he said. "The server will deliver them tomorrow morning. Are you prepared for her reaction?" I watched my daughter, safe in her classroom, and felt steel enter my spine. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." The server came at 8 a.m. sharp. I watched from my car across the street, Raylan safely dropped at school, as Mother answered the door in her bathrobe. Even from here, I could see her face change as she read the papers. My phone started ringing immediately. I let it go to voicemail. "You've got some nerve," her voice crackled through the speaker. "I'm your mother. You can't do this to me." 3 more calls, 3 more voicemails. I drove to work, trying to focus on the day ahead. Talon caught me in the locker room. "You look like you haven't slept." "She was served this morning." I pulled on my scrubs. "It's officially started." "How'd she take it?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text. "Meeting at the community center tonight. Could use your medical expertise. Freya." "Your sister needs me at some meeting," I told Talon. "Something about medical expertise?" "Oh, right, the Safe House project." He smiled. "You should go. Might help take your mind off things." The ER was busy enough to keep me distracted until my shift ended. Mother had called 17 more times. I deleted the voicemails without listening. The community center was lit up when I arrived. Freya met me at the door, clipboard in hand. "Thanks for coming," she said, leading me inside. "We're trying to set up a medical assistance program for the Safe House residents." "Safe House?" "For women escaping abuse, addiction, bad situations." She gestured to a room full of people. "We've got the building, but we need protocols for medical emergencies." I stopped short. "Is this about addiction recovery?" "Partly." Freya touched my arm. "Talon told me about your mom, about the money. I thought maybe something good could come from it." "What do you mean?" "The money's gone, right? But what if we could help prevent other families from going through what you did?" The meeting started before I could respond. I sat listening to stories of women trapped by addiction, by abuse, by circumstances they couldn't control. Each story felt like a mirror, reflecting pieces of my own life. My phone buzzed. Mother again. This time, I answered. "How dare you?" she hissed. "After everything I've done for you?" "I'm in a meeting," I whispered, stepping outside. "We can talk later." "No, we'll talk now. I raised you, fed you, clothed you, and stole from my daughter." My voice was steady. "You stole her future." "It wasn't stealing. I was gonna pay it back." "With what money, Mother? The money you don't have? The credit cards that are maxed out?" Silence then. "I need help." My heart stuttered. In 34 years, I'd never heard those words from her. "What kind of help?" "Money for a lawyer, to fight this ridiculous petition." The hope that had flared died instantly. "No. Then I'll tell everyone what an ungrateful daughter you are, how you're throwing your own mother out on the street." Inside, Freya was discussing recovery programs. Through the window, I could see women nodding, sharing their stories of hope and healing. "You know what, Mother? Tell everyone. Tell them how you stole your granddaughter's medical fund. Tell them how you gambled away her future. Tell them everything." I ended the call and went back inside. Freya was introducing a woman who'd recovered from gambling addiction, who now counseled others. "The hardest part," the woman was saying, "is admitting you need help. Sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom." After the meeting, Freya caught up with me in the parking lot. "What did you think?" "I think?" I looked back at the building. "I think I want to help. Not just with medical protocols, with everything." "Really?" Her face lit up. "We could use the expertise. And," she hesitated, "maybe it would help you too. Healing goes both ways." My phone buzzed with a text from Mother. "You'll regret this. I'm calling everyone we know." Freya read it over my shoulder. "You okay?" "Actually, yes." I put the phone away. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. "The safe house needs funding," Freya said carefully. "If you wanted, when you get the money back." "There is no getting it back." I smiled sadly. "But maybe we can stop it from happening to someone else's daughter." Driving home, I passed the Golden Lotus Casino. Mother's favorite haunt was lit up like a carnival, promising riches and delivering ruin. I thought about the women at the meeting, about second chances and rock bottoms. My phone rang again. This time it was Raylan's school. "Mrs. Fox, just wanted to let you know Raylan did wonderfully in her presentation today. She taught the class all about the heart." I pulled over, overwhelmed by sudden tears. "She said she wants to be a doctor," the teacher continued, "to fix hearts like hers." In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that I was doing the right thing. Not just for Raylan, but maybe, in some twisted way, for Mother too. Sometimes love means making the hardest choices. Sometimes it means being the bad guy to do the right thing. Mother's campaign of revenge started with Aunt Sarah's call. "How could you do this to your own mother?" she demanded. "She's devastated." I was in the hospital break room, 3 hours into a 12-hour shift. "Did she tell you why?" "She said you're trying to make her homeless over a simple misunderstanding about money." Simple misunderstanding? I gripped my phone tighter. "Ask her about the $20,000 she stole from Raylan's medical fund." Silence. Then, "What?" By the time I finished explaining, Aunt Sarah's tone had changed completely. "I'll call you back," she said quietly. The next call came from Uncle Pete, then Cousin Mary, then my mother's best friend Dorothy. Each time, the same pattern: accusation, explanation, shocked silence. "Your mother's been busy," Talon said, handing me a coffee. "She's calling everyone we know." I showed him my phone. "But it's backfiring. People are finally seeing her for who she is." "Speaking of seeing things," he nodded toward the ER entrance. Mother stood there, swaying slightly, makeup smeared. Security was already moving toward her. "I've got this," I told them, approaching her. "Mother, you can't be here." "My own daughter," she announced loudly, throwing me out like garbage. Patients and staff turned to stare. I took her arm, leading her toward the exit. "You're drunk. Go home." "Home?" She laughed bitterly. "The home you're stealing from me?" "Lower your voice. This is a hospital." "Where's my granddaughter? I want to see Raylan." "Not happening." I pushed through the doors into the parking lot. "Not while you're like this." She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "You think you're better than me? You think you can't end up just like me? I'm nothing like you." "No?" She smiled cruelly. "Then why do you check your pulse when you're stressed? Why do you count ceiling tiles when you're anxious? Just like I taught you, just like my mother taught me." I pulled away, my heart racing. She was right. I was doing it now, pressing fingers to my wrist, counting the beats. "Go home, Mother. Sleep it off." "Or what? You'll call the police? Report your own mother?" "If I have to." She staggered back, tears cutting through her mascara. "I gave you everything." "You gave me anxiety, trust issues, and an empty bank account." The words came out before I could stop them. "But you know what? You also gave me the strength to stop you." Back inside, Talon was waiting. "You okay?" "No." I showed him my trembling hands. "She's right. I am like her. All these little habits, these anxious tics." "Stop," he grabbed my shoulders. "Having her habits doesn't make you her. You're breaking the cycle, Jill. That's what matters." My phone buzzed. "Freya, community center meeting in an hour. We're discussing funding allocation. Coming?" I looked at Talon. Cover for me? Go, do something good with this mess. The community center was packed. Freya stood at the front, outlining plans for the Safe House's medical clinic. We need about $20,000 for basic equipment, she was saying as I slipped in. $20,000, the exact amount Mother had stolen. I raised my hand. What if we had that money? Hypothetically? Freya's eyes widened. Are you saying, if we get it back, through legal means or restitution, it should go here, help other families break the cycle? The room burst into discussion. A woman in the back stood up. I lost my house to my husband's gambling, she said. My kids lost their college funds. A place like this, it could have saved us years of pain. Others shared similar stories. Each one felt like a piece of my own story, reflected back at me. My phone buzzed. Edgar, your mother's lawyer contacted me. She wants to negotiate. I stepped out to call him back. What kind of negotiation? She's offering to repay the money in exchange for staying on the deed. Where would she get the money? She claims she can borrow it from family. I thought of all those phone calls today, all those relatives finally seeing the truth. No, I said, no more enabling, no more chances. Are you sure? It would be faster than court. I'm sure. I watched through the window as Freya drew up plans for the clinic. The money's not the point anymore. This has to end. Back inside, I raised my hand again. I want to volunteer, not just with medical stuff, with everything. Freya beamed. Really? Really? I took a deep breath. Because my mother was wrong about one thing. We're not doomed to repeat our parents' mistakes. We can choose differently. My phone buzzed one last time. Mother, you'll regret this. You're just like me. You'll see. I typed back. No, Mother, I'm choosing to be better. And maybe, someday, you will too. Then I turned off my phone and joined the meeting, ready to turn our family's pain into someone else's healing. The court notice arrived on a Tuesday morning. Mother had filed her formal objection to being removed from the deed, which meant we were heading for a hearing. But that wasn't what shocked me. She's in rehab? I read the letter again, certain I was seeing things. Talon leaned over my shoulder in the break room. Gambling addiction treatment? Voluntarily? Her lawyer says it's proof she's taking steps to reform. I set the paper down. After all these years, all those broken promises, you don't believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Dr. Marcus from New Hope Recovery Center. Your mother Cecilia has listed you as her emergency contact and requested family therapy sessions. I showed Talon the message. Are you gonna go? I can't. I shoved the phone in my pocket. It's just another manipulation. But later that night, as I tucked Raylan into bed, doubt crept in. Mommy? She clutched Mr. Whiskers, her stuffed cat. When is Grandma coming home? I don't know, baby. Is she sick, like my heart is sometimes sick? I sat on the edge of her bed, searching for words. Kind of. She's getting help to get better. Can we visit her, like when you visit me in the hospital? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Dr. Marcus again. Cecilia had a breakthrough in group therapy today. She's asked about you repeatedly. Mommy? Raylan touched my face. You're crying. I wiped my eyes quickly. Just tired, sweetheart. Time for sleep. The next day, I met Freya at the community center. The medical clinic was taking shape, empty rooms slowly filling with donated equipment. Look what came in today, she said, showing me a cardiac monitor, perfect for basic screenings, like the one that caught Raylan's condition early. I ran my hand over the machine. How many kids might this save? Speaking of saving people, Freya hesitated. I heard about your mom. New Hope is one of our partner facilities. You knew? She checked in 3 days ago. Asked about our family program. I sat heavily in a nearby chair. Is she serious about it? Want to see for yourself? Freya pulled out her tablet, pulling up security footage. This is from yesterday's group session. There was Mother, sitting in a circle of other women. No makeup, no fancy clothes, looking smaller somehow. As I watched, she stood up, hands shaking. My name is Cecilia, she said, voice trembling, and I've lost everything that matters. My granddaughter's medical fund, my daughter's trust, my self-respect. I turned away. Stop, I can't watch this. Jill. Freya touched my shoulder. Recovery is possible. I see it every day. And how many times do they relapse? Some do, but some make it. The difference is usually family support. My phone buzzed. Edgar. The hearing is set for next month. Your mother's lawyer requested a delay for treatment completion. Your call. Freya read the message over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I don't know. I looked around the clinic room. All of this came from pain like mine, from families broken by addiction. And healing, Freya added. Don't forget that part. That evening, I sat with Raylan's photo album. There was Mother holding her as a newborn, beaming with pride. Mother at her 4th birthday, before the gambling got bad. Mother teaching her to make cookies last Christmas, between casino trips. My phone buzzed again. A video message from New Hope. Mother's face filled the screen, bare of makeup, eyes red. Jillian, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm learning things here about why I hurt the people I love. I understand if you never want to see me again, but please know I'm trying, really trying this time. The video ended. I played it again, searching for signs of manipulation, of deceit. Instead, I saw something I'd never seen before, genuine shame. I called Edgar. If I agree to the delay, I said, what happens? She completes the program, demonstrates changed behavior, agrees to conditions for staying on the deed, regular testing, financial monitoring, counseling. And if she relapses, the removal proceeds automatically, no further hearings needed. I thought of Raylan asking about visiting her grandmother, of the cardiac monitor at the clinic, of Mother's tearful video. Okay, I said, draw up the conditions, make them strict. Are you sure? No. I looked at the photo album again. But maybe that's okay. I texted Dr. Marcus. What time are family sessions? The response came quickly. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Cecilia will be thrilled. Don't tell her I'm coming, I wrote back. I need to see for myself if this is real. That night, Raylan found me crying in the kitchen. Is your heart hurting, Mommy? I pulled her into my lap. No, baby. Sometimes hearts just need time to heal. Like Grandma's? Yeah, I whispered, holding her close. Like Grandma's. The New Hope Recovery Center looked more like a small college campus than a rehab facility. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before finding the courage to walk in. You must be Jillian, Dr. Marcus said, extending his hand. Your mother's in the garden. Would you like to observe before joining? Through the window, I saw Mother tending to a small plot of vegetables. Her hands, usually manicured to perfection, were covered in dirt. She looked peaceful. She doesn't know I'm here? No, we thought it best to let you set the pace. Mother looked up then, wiping sweat from her forehead, and saw me. The trowel fell from her hands. Jillian? I stepped into the garden. Up close, I could see the changes more clearly. No makeup, gray showing in her roots, worry lines around her eyes. The tomatoes need water, I said, not knowing what else to say. Yes. She reached for the watering can with trembling hands. Would you like to help? We worked in silence, watering the plants, pulling weeds. Finally, she spoke. I didn't think you'd come. Neither did I. She stopped, took a deep breath. No excuses, no justifications. That's what we learn here. Just truth. And what's the truth, Mother? That I destroyed everything good in my life, that I hurt my granddaughter, that I betrayed my only daughter's trust. Her voice cracked. That I'm terrified of becoming my own mother, but ended up worse than she ever was. I hadn't known that about my grandmother. What do you mean? She was a gambler too, lost everything when I was 12. I swore I'd never. She wiped her eyes. History repeats unless we break the cycle. Dr. Marcus appeared with chairs. Shall we move this to family therapy? In his office, Mother showed me her workbooks, her daily journals, her recovery plan. 6 months clean, she said softly. Longest I've ever gone. The hearing is next week, I reminded her. I know. She met my eyes. Whatever you decide, I'll accept it. Part of recovery is accepting consequences. Dr. Marcus leaned forward. Cecilia, would you like to share what you wrote in your amends letter? Mother pulled out a worn piece of paper. Dear Jillian and Raylan, stop. I stood up. I need to show you something first. I led her to my car and drove to the community center. Freya was there, supervising the installation of new medical equipment. This is where Raylan's money went, I said, watching Mother's face. Not to the casinos. Here. Mother walked slowly through the clinic room, touching the cardiac monitor, the examination table, the pediatric equipment. A safe house, Freya explained, for families affected by addiction. The medical clinic will help kids like Raylan. Like Raylan? Mother's voice was barely a whisper. Children with heart conditions? Among others. I showed her the intake forms. We're already booked for the first month of screenings. Mother sank into a chair, hands covering her face. I thought, when I stole the money, I thought I could win it back, make it more, give Raylan everything. She doesn't need everything, I said. She needs stability, safety, love. Like I never gave you. But you can start now. I pulled out Edgar's papers. These are the conditions: regular testing, financial oversight, continued therapy. Meet them, and you can stay on the deed. She read through them slowly. And if I relapse? Automatic removal, no appeals. You're giving me another chance? No. I took the papers back. You're earning one. There's a difference. Freya appeared with forms of her own. We also need volunteers, people who understand addiction from both sides. Mother looked at me, then at the forms. You'd trust me here? Not yet, I said honestly, but maybe someday. Back at New Hope, Mother returned to her garden. Will you bring Raylan? When you think I'm ready? One step at a time. I watched her gather her tools. Read your amends letter at the hearing next week. Mean every word. I will. She hesitated. Jillian, thank you. Not for the chance. I haven't earned that yet, but for showing me what real love looks like. What you did with the money, it's beautiful. That night, I showed Raylan pictures of the clinic. This is where your special heart money went, I explained, to help other kids like you. And Grandma's helping too? She's trying to get better first, then maybe. Like when my heart gets better? I hugged her close. Yeah, baby, hearts can heal. It just takes time. My phone buzzed. A message from Mother. Day 185, still clean, still trying, still grateful. For the first time in years, I wrote back, proud of you, keep going. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. Sometimes that's all healing needs, just a start. The hearing room felt smaller than I expected. Mother sat beside her lawyer, hands folded neatly, wearing a simple blue dress instead of her usual flashy outfits. Edgar gave my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. The court will now hear the petition regarding property deed modification. The judge announced, I understand there's been an agreement reached. Edgar stood. Yes, Your Honor. We've prepared conditions for Mrs. Cecilia to remain on the deed, contingent on continued recovery and financial oversight. And the stolen funds? Mother's lawyer spoke up. My client has agreed to repayment through garnished disability payments and supervised work at the community center medical clinic. The judge turned to Mother. I understand you've prepared a statement? Mother stood, unfolding her amends letter with trembling hands. Your Honor, 6 months ago, I thought rock bottom was losing my home. I was wrong. Rock bottom was seeing my daughter turn my greatest shame into something beautiful. She turned to face me. I stole from my granddaughter's medical fund, money saved for her heart condition. But Jillian, she took that pain and built a clinic to help other children. While I was gambling away our future, she was saving others. The judge leaned forward. And your recovery progress? 6 months sober from gambling. Daily therapy. Working the program. Mother pulled out her sobriety chips. I can't undo what I did, but I can spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of my daughter's example. The judge reviewed the conditions. These terms are strict. One relapse and you lose everything. I understand. Mother's voice was steady. It's more than I deserve. Very well. The judge signed the papers. Petition approved with conditions. Court adjourned. Outside, Mother turned to me. Thank you for coming today. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it for Raylan and for me. I know, she hesitated. The clinic? When can I start? Freya needs help with intake paperwork, nothing financial. I added quickly. Just filing, scheduling. I'd like that. My phone buzzed. A text from Talon. First patient at the clinic. Get over here. At the community center, a young mother waited with her son. Freya was explaining the cardiac screening process. Just like we did with Raylan, I told the nervous boy. Want to see your heart on the screen? Mother stood in the doorway, watching. When the boy's heartbeat filled the room, her eyes welled up. That sound, she whispered, like Raylan's first ultrasound. Come help, I said impulsively. You can hand me the equipment. We worked together, showing the boy and his mother the heart chambers, explaining the tests. When we found a minor murmur, Mother's organizational skills kicked in, efficiently scheduling follow-ups and specialist referrals. You're good at this, I said afterward. It feels right. She straightened the intake forms. Like maybe all those years of chaos led to something meaningful. Mom! Raylan's voice echoed through the clinic. She ran in with Talon, stopping short when she saw Mother. Grandma? Mother knelt down. Hi, sweetheart. I've missed you. Raylan looked at me questioningly. I nodded. Want to see where I work now? Mother asked. I'm helping other kids like you. Can I see the heart machine again? We showed her the equipment, Mother explaining each piece with newfound knowledge. When Raylan's own heartbeat filled the room, strong and steady, Mother squeezed my hand. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on either of us. Later that night, after Raylan was asleep, I found a letter in my bag. Dear Jillian, today wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Every day, I'll work to earn back what I destroyed. Not just money or trust, but our family's heart. When you turned my shame into healing for others, you taught me what real strength looks like. I'm learning from you now, daughter, and I'm so proud of the mother you've become. All my love and all my gratitude, Mom, I texted her, one day at a time. Her reply came quickly. That's all I ask. See you at the clinic tomorrow? Yes, I wrote back. We have 6 new patients. I'll bring coffee. And Jillian, thank you for showing me how to break the cycle. I looked in on Raylan, sleeping peacefully with Mr. Whiskers. Her heart monitor blinked steadily on the nightstand, a reminder of both our challenges and our strength. Tomorrow we'd help more families at the clinic. Tomorrow Mother would continue earning back trust. Tomorrow, Raylan would see her grandmother choosing recovery over chaos. But tonight, I simply listened to my daughter's heartbeat and felt my own heart healing, one steady beat at a time. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the battle, but in transforming it into something that helps others win theirs. That's what real healing looks like. That's what breaking the cycle means. That's what love can do when we're brave enough to let it.
I still remember the exact moment I thought I'd finally made it. The boardroom lights bounced off the polished mahogany table as I stood there, 28 years old, and trembling slightly in my carefully chosen outfit that had taken 3 credit card payments to afford. And that's why June's marketing strategy increased our Q3 engagement by 42%. Elaine said, her voice carrying that signature confidence that made everyone lean forward when she spoke. The Harrington account wouldn't have signed without her insights. I felt my cheeks flush as 14 pairs of eyes turned to me. Oscar, our CEO, actually nodded. Not the perfunctory movement he gave most presentations, but a real acknowledgement. I'd spent 3 sleepless weeks building that strategy, testing every assumption, anticipating every objection. Thank you, I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. The data suggested we needed to pivot from traditional demographics to behavioral targeting, and she executed flawlessly. Elaine cut in smoothly, placing her hand on my shoulder. I knew she would. That touch felt like a benediction. Elaine May, the woman who'd climbed from marketing director to COO in 5 years, who wore power like a second skin, whose approval I'd been chasing since I joined the company, was publicly claiming me as her protege. After the meeting, she caught me by the coffee machine, her tailored blazer somehow unwrinkled after a 3-hour session. Drinks tonight? We should celebrate your win, she said, already typing something into her phone. I'd love that, I replied, trying not to sound too eager. 8 o'clock, Vantage Lounge. Wear something that makes you feel unstoppable. She smiled, that rare full smile that transformed her usually calculating face into something almost warm. I spent the afternoon in a haze of validation, fielding congratulatory emails, and trying not to check the time every 5 minutes. Ryder from the creative team stopped by my desk, leaning against it with his usual easy posture. Quite the victory lap in there, he said, his voice carrying a note I couldn't quite place. Elaine doesn't share the spotlight often. I worked really hard on this one, I said, straightening papers that didn't need straightening. I'm sure you did. He paused. Just be careful, okay? I laughed it off. Of what? Success. He just shrugged and walked away, leaving me slightly unsettled until I dismissed it as jealousy. Ryder had been at the company longer than me, but hadn't risen as quickly. At 7:30, I was already in an Uber heading to Vantage, wearing the one designer dress I owned, a splurge after my first promotion. The city lights blurred past as I mentally rehearsed casual, clever things to say when Elaine inevitably introduced me to whatever power players would be at her table. My phone buzzed with a text from Peyton. Get it, girl, but remember who you are. I smiled. Peyton had been my roommate since college and had watched me transform from a nervous marketing assistant to whatever I was becoming. She worried I was changing too much, too fast. Maybe she was right. But tonight wasn't the night for self-doubt. The lounge was exactly as exclusive as its reputation suggested. All dark wood, amber lighting, and people who looked like they belonged in magazines. I gave Elaine's name at the door and was led to a corner table where she sat alone, 2 martinis already waiting. Right on time, she said, raising her glass. To your first of many victories. The gin burned pleasantly as we clinked glasses. Thank you for the opportunity, I said, and for the mentorship. I wouldn't be here without you. Talent recognizes talent, she replied, her eyes assessing me in that way that always made me feel both seen and examined. You remind me of myself 10 years ago, hungry, smart, willing to do what others won't. Pride bloomed in my chest. This was everything I'd wanted since I'd watched her demolish a boardroom of doubting executives my first week. To be seen by her as an equal in the making, not just another disposable team member. "I have something for you," she said, sliding a small velvet box across the table. Inside was a sleek silver pen, heavy and expensive feeling. Engraved along the side, "Ambition is the path to success." "It's beautiful," I said, genuinely touched. "Use it to sign your next promotion paperwork." She winked. "Which reminds me, I sent you an email with some thoughts on the Westridge proposal. Nothing urgent, just review it this weekend." I nodded, already making mental notes to cancel my Saturday plans with Peyton. Later that night, unable to sleep from the lingering excitement, I opened my laptop to get ahead on the Westridge work. Elaine's email sat at the top of my inbox, but it wasn't addressed to me. I was CC'd. The actual recipient was Oscar. "Oscar, as discussed, I've developed a comprehensive strategy for Westridge. June has been helping with some of the data collection, but the core approach and execution plan are mine. I've CC'd her so she can begin implementing the support materials we'll need. With this account, I believe we're looking at not just a VP position opening, but a board seat as well." My hands went cold. The strategy she presented today, my strategy, was apparently just the beginning. The Westridge proposal she'd asked me to review was already being positioned as hers. The martini churned in my stomach as I scrolled down to see my weeks of work attached to her email. My name nowhere to be found, except as an implementation assistant. The silver pen suddenly felt like a consolation prize for a theft in progress. I stared at the email until my eyes burned, reading it over and over, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less devastating. They didn't. Sleep was impossible. I paced my apartment, the dress I'd been so proud of earlier now twisted around my waist, my makeup smeared from rubbing my eyes. The silver pen sat on my counter, catching the light every time I passed. Ambition is the path to success. Apparently, so was theft. By morning, shock had hardened into something sharper. I showered, dressed, and arrived at the office an hour early, needing to see what else Elaine had taken from me. The office was quiet, just the hum of the air conditioning and the occasional early bird tapping away in a distant cubicle. I logged into the shared drive, where our team kept project files, and began digging through folders I hadn't opened in months. The Carrington campaign from last quarter, the one where Elaine had praised my supporting work during the client presentation. There it was, my original deck, complete with my notes and research, saved under a new file name, with Elaine listed as the author. The Blackwell proposal that had won us agency innovation recognition. My draft had been polished into Elaine's voice, my market analysis copied wholesale. Even the intern training program I'd developed after noticing our high turnover, rebranded as Elaine's Leadership Initiative. "You're in early." I nearly jumped out of my skin. Ryder stood in the doorway of the conference room I'd commandeered, 2 coffee cups in hand. "Just catching up on some things," I said, quickly minimizing the screen. He set one of the coffees beside me. "Looked like you were hunting for something." I hesitated. Ryder and I were friendly, but office politics made real friendships complicated. Still, his warning yesterday suddenly seemed less like jealousy and more like he'd been trying to tell me something. "Can I ask you something weird?" I said, accepting the coffee. "The Blackwell proposal last spring. Who do you think created it?" His eyebrows rose slightly. "The one Elaine presented to the board?" "Yeah." "Well, you did most of it, right? I remember you asking me for input on the creative direction." He leaned against the door frame. "Why?" I took a deep breath. "Because Elaine's been taking credit for my work, not just tweaking or supervising, flat out claiming it as hers. Saying it out loud made it real, in a way that churned my stomach." Ryder's expression shifted from surprise to something darker. "Show me," he said, closing the door behind him. I pulled up the files, the emails, the presentations. With each example, his jaw tightened. "This isn't new for her," he finally said. 2 years ago, it was Lana from product development. Before that, some guy who eventually quit. Elaine finds promising people, mentors them, just enough to extract their best ideas, then discards them when they start asking questions. Why doesn't anyone stop her? Oscar thinks she walks on water. The board sees results. And who's going to believe a junior employee over a COO? He shook his head. I tried to warn Lana. She confronted Elaine directly and ended up transferred to the Cleveland office. My phone buzzed with a calendar notification. Staff meeting in 30 minutes, with Elaine presenting the Westridge strategy. I can't just let her take credit for Westridge, I said, my voice tight. That's months of my work, my research, my ideas. What are you going to do? Stand up in the meeting and call her a thief? Ryder's voice was gentle but firm. You need to be smarter than that. He was right. A direct confrontation would be career suicide. I needed evidence, allies, a plan. But I also couldn't sit through another meeting, watching Elaine build her empire on my foundation. I need to buy some time, I said, more to myself than to Ryder. The staff meeting was already filling up when I arrived. Elaine stood at the front, arranging presentation materials, looking immaculate as always, in a crisp white blouse and charcoal pencil skirt. She caught my eye and smiled. That same mentor's smile that had once made me feel chosen. Now it made me feel hunted. June, perfect timing, she called. I was hoping you could help distribute these before we start. She handed me a stack of presentation folders, my Westridge strategy, repackaged with her name on the cover. Our fingers brushed during the handoff, and I had to fight the urge to recoil. Actually, I said, my heart hammering, I'm not feeling well. Might be food poisoning from last night. I pressed a hand to my stomach for effect. I need to go home. Concern flashed across her face. Perfectly calibrated, utterly false. Oh no, was it something at Vantage? Must have been, I replied, matching her performance. I hate to miss this, but, of course, health comes first. We'll catch you up tomorrow. She turned to the room. Can someone make sure June gets home okay? Ryder volunteered, earning a dismissive nod from Elaine. As he guided me out, I felt her eyes on my back, calculating, assessing the threat. In the elevator, Ryder spoke low and fast. You know she's going to present your strategy as her own today, right? By tomorrow, it'll be official company record. I know, I said, clutching my bag where I'd slipped one of the presentation folders. But now I have time to figure out how to fight back. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped out with one certainty burning through the fog of betrayal. Elaine had taught me ambition was the path to success. She'd forgotten to mention it was also the path to enemies. Ryder walked me to my car, both of us maintaining the sick day charade until we were safely in the parking garage. What's your next move? He asked, leaning against a concrete pillar. I pulled out the stolen presentation folder. First, I need to understand exactly what she changed and what she kept. Then, I need to find proof that the original work was mine. And then, I hesitated. The then part was still a blur of rage and half-formed ideas. I don't know yet, but I'm not letting her get away with this. Ryder shifted uncomfortably. Look, I want to help, but I need to be careful too. I've got rent and student loans, and I'm not asking you to risk your job, I said quickly. Just keep your eyes open. Let me know if you hear anything useful. He nodded, relief visible in the loosening of his shoulders. I can do that. At home, I spread the contents of the folder across my kitchen table. The presentation was almost entirely my work, my market analysis, my strategy framework, even my phrasing in some places. Elaine had added an executive summary and reworked the conclusion to emphasize her visionary leadership. I pulled out my laptop and began documenting everything, creating a side-by-side comparison of my original work and Elaine's version. The similarities were undeniable to anyone who looked closely. The problem was getting someone to look. My phone rang. Peyton. Weren't we supposed to meet for lunch? She asked when I answered. God, I'm sorry, I said, suddenly remembering our plans. Something happened at work. Bad enough to ghost your best friend? Elaine's been stealing my work, I blurted out. Everything I've done for the past year, she's been taking credit for all of it. Silence on the line, then. I'm coming over, and I'm bringing wine. 30 minutes later, Peyton sat across from me, examining my evidence while I paced the apartment. This is seriously messed up, she said, flipping through the documents. Have you talked to HR? I laughed bitterly. HR reports to Elaine. Besides, it would be her word against mine, and she's been laying groundwork for months, positioning herself as my mentor, making it seem like she's been guiding my work. What about this Oscar guy, the CEO? He thinks Elaine is his golden goose. The company's stock has risen 30% since she became COO. I collapsed onto the couch. I need irrefutable proof that the work was mine before I go to anyone. Peyton topped off my wine glass. What about your emails, your drafts? There must be a digital trail. I've been working on the company's servers, saving everything to shared drives so Elaine could review my progress. I made air quotes with my fingers, but I might have some early drafts on my personal laptop. I dug out my old laptop, the one I'd used before getting a company computer. It took forever to boot up, but eventually I found what I was looking for. Preliminary notes and drafts for several projects, including Westridge, all with metadata showing they were created months before Elaine's versions. This is good, Peyton said, but is it enough? Couldn't she just say you were doing preliminary work under her direction? She was right. I needed something more definitive, something that proved Elaine knew exactly what she was doing. I need to get into her email, I said, the idea forming as I spoke. Peyton's eyes widened. Whoa, that's crossing into illegal territory. Not if I already have access. I explained how Elaine had given me her password months ago to handle some scheduling while she was on vacation. She probably changed it, but she uses variations of the same password for everything. June, think about what you're saying. If you get caught, if I do nothing, I lose everything I've worked for. My voice cracked. You don't understand what it's like there. I clawed my way into this position from nothing. No fancy degree, no family connections, just hard work and talent. If I let Elaine take that from me, Peyton reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I do understand. I've watched you work yourself to exhaustion for this job, but I don't want to see you destroy yourself trying to fix this. I pulled my hand away, suddenly irritated by her caution. So I should just give up? Let her win? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be strategic. Don't let anger push you into making mistakes. She was right, of course. Breaking into Elaine's email would be a desperate move, possibly a career-ending one if caught. I needed a better plan. What if, I said slowly, instead of exposing her all at once, I start by protecting my current work, create a paper trail she can't erase. The next morning, I returned to the office with a clear head and a strategy. I sent myself emails, documenting my work on ongoing projects, blind copied to my personal account. I started keeping a detailed work journal, and I scheduled a casual coffee with Lana from product development. The previous victim Ryder had mentioned. As I waited in the cafe across from our building, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I heard you're asking questions about Elaine. Check the shared drive, folder, Board Presentations 2022, subfolder, Strategy Retreat. Password, Ambition 2022. Be careful who you trust. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. I stared at the message, my coffee cooling in front of me. Someone else knew what Elaine was doing. Someone wanted to help, or someone was setting a trap. Lana arrived 15 minutes late, her brisk walk and tense shoulders suggesting she'd second-guessed this meeting several times before showing up. She ordered a black coffee and sat across from me, her eyes darting around the cafe as if expecting to see Elaine lurking behind a potted plant. I can't stay long, she said, not quite meeting my gaze. Thanks for coming. I kept my voice casual, though my heart was racing. I wanted to ask your advice on managing cross-departmental projects. Lana's smile was tight. Cut the bullshit, June. Ryder told me what you're really asking about. I blinked, caught off guard by her directness. He shouldn't have. No, he should have. She leaned forward. Because I wish someone had warned me about Elaine before she derailed my career. For the next 20 minutes, Lana detailed her own experience, how Elaine had mentored her, praised her publicly, then systematically claimed credit for her innovations. When Lana confronted her, Elaine turned ice cold. She told Oscar I was having emotional problems, that I was trying to take credit for her work because I was jealous of her success. Lana's voice was flat, drained of emotion through repeated tellings. 2 weeks later, I was transferred to Cleveland. The official reason was operational needs. But everyone knew. Why did you come back? I asked. Because Cleveland was a dead end, and I refused to let her win. Lana's eyes finally met mine, hard with determination. I worked my ass off, made connections with board members, and got transferred back when a position opened. Elaine couldn't block it without raising questions. And now we maintain a professional distance. She knows I know, and I know she's waiting for me to make a mistake. Lana checked her watch, which is why this meeting needs to end. Being seen with you right now wouldn't be good for either of us. As she stood to leave, I blurted out, "Did you send me a text about the strategy retreat folder?" Confusion flickered across her face. What text? Either she was lying, or someone else was involved. Before I could decide which, Lana placed a hand on my shoulder. Whatever you're planning, be careful. Elaine doesn't just fight back, she scorches the earth. With that, she was gone, leaving me with a cold coffee and a colder realization of what I was up against. Back at my desk, I waited until the office cleared for lunch before accessing the shared drive. The folder was buried deep in the archives, and when I entered the password, Ambition 2022, a collection of files appeared. What I found made my stomach drop. Presentations, strategies, market analyses, all created by different employees over the years, all later presented as Elaine's work. My name appeared in several recent documents, but so did Lana's from years ago, and at least 3 other employees I didn't recognize. This wasn't opportunistic theft. This was systematic. Elaine had been doing this for years, building her career on stolen work, discarding people when they became inconvenient. I was so absorbed that I didn't notice someone approaching until a shadow fell across my screen. Finding anything interesting, I nearly jumped out of my skin. Oscar, the CEO, stood behind me, his expression unreadable. I was just researching past strategies for the Miller account, I stammered, quickly closing the window. In archived board presentations from 2 years ago, his eyebrow arched. I wanted to understand the company's strategic evolution, I said, the lie sounding weak even to my ears. Oscar studied me for a long moment. My office, 5 minutes. He walked away before I could respond. My hands shook as I gathered my notes. Had Elaine told him I was asking questions? Was this the beginning of my own transfer to corporate Siberia? Oscar's office occupied the corner of our floor. Glass walls offering a panoramic view of the city. He gestured for me to sit while he remained standing, looking out at the skyline. Elaine tells me you're one of our most promising talents, he said without turning. Says you've contributed significantly to several major accounts. Contributed, I repeated, the word bitter on my tongue. Now he turned, his expression shrewd. You disagree with the characterization. It was the opening I needed, but fear closed my throat. This man could end my career with a phone call, yet staying silent meant accepting defeat. I don't just contribute, Oscar, I create. The Westridge strategy, mine. Harrington, mine. The new engagement metrics we're using, also mine. The words tumbled out, fueled by weeks of suppressed anger. Elaine has been taking credit for my work since I joined her team. I expected denial, dismissal, maybe even anger. Instead, Oscar sighed and sat down heavily. I was afraid of this, he said quietly. It's happening again. My breath caught. You know? I've had concerns about Elaine's management style for some time, but she delivers results, And accusations without proof are just office politics. He fixed me with a penetrating stare. Do you have proof, June? I thought of the anonymous text, the hidden folder, my original drafts. I'm gathering it, I said carefully. Then I suggest you gather quickly. The board is considering Elaine for a promotion to president next month. If what you're saying is true, I need to know before that decision is made. Hope flared briefly, then flickered as suspicion crept in. Why was he so willing to listen? Was this a trap to see if I'd speak against Elaine? Why tell me this? I asked. Because I built this company from nothing, and I won't have its culture corrupted by theft and fear. He leaned forward. But understand this, if you're wrong, or if you can't prove your claims, I won't be able to protect you. As I left his office, my phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. Oscar isn't the ally you think he is. He and Elaine go way back. Be careful what you share. Check her calendar for March 15th. Then look at the company's SEC filings from the same day. The truth goes deeper than stolen presentations. I froze in the hallway, my mind racing. What was on March 15th? And who was sending these texts? The game had just changed, and I wasn't sure if I was the player or the pawn. I barely slept that night, my mind spinning with contradictions. Oscar seemed willing to hear me out, but the text warned he wasn't trustworthy. Elaine was stealing my work, but she'd also championed me publicly. Nothing made sense, and everyone had an agenda I couldn't quite grasp. By morning, I'd made a decision. Trust no one. Verify everything. I arrived at the office early and immediately checked Elaine's calendar for March 15th. Most executives' calendars were visible to their teams for scheduling purposes, though the details of private meetings were often hidden. March 15th showed a 4-hour block marked simply OS Strategy Meeting at a downtown hotel, not the office. No attendees listed, no agenda attached. The company's SEC filings were public record. I pulled them up on my phone, scrolling through dense financial documents until I found what I was looking for, a significant stock sale by both Oscar and Elaine on March 16th, the day after their mysterious meeting. They'd each sold shares worth over $1 million. A week later, our company announced disappointing quarterly results, and the stock dropped 20%. They had sold right before a major downturn. That timing wasn't just convenient. It could be illegal. I was so absorbed in this discovery that I didn't notice Peyton calling until the third attempt. "Where are you?" she demanded when I answered. "I've been waiting at the restaurant for 20 minutes. Shit, I'm sorry. I'd completely forgotten our dinner plans. Something came up at work. Something always comes up at work lately." Her voice carried an edge I wasn't used to hearing. "This is the third time you've bailed on me in 2 weeks?" "I know. I'm sorry. It's just Elaine. I know." Peyton sighed. "June, I'm worried about you. This vendetta is consuming you." "It's not a vendetta," I snapped. "She's stealing my work, my future. And now I've found something even worse." "What could be worse than her taking credit for your work?" I hesitated, suddenly aware that I was in the office, surrounded by potential ears. "I can't talk about it right now. I'll come over tonight and explain everything." "Don't bother," Peyton said, her voice flat. "I'm going out with other friends who actually show up when they say they will." The call ended before I could respond. I sat there, phone in hand, a hollow feeling spreading through my chest. Peyton had been my rock since college, the one person I could always count on. Now she was pulling away, and I couldn't blame her. But I couldn't stop either, not when I was finally getting close to the truth. I spent the rest of the day gathering more evidence, carefully documenting the timeline of Elaine's theft and the suspicious stock sales. By evening, I had a solid case, not just of plagiarism, but potentially insider trading. As I was preparing to leave, Ryder appeared at my desk. "You missed the department meeting," he said quietly. "I was following up on something important." "What did I miss?" "Elaine announced she's recommending you for promotion to senior manager." I froze. "What?" "She sang your praises for 15 minutes, talked about your contributions to Westridge, and how you're being groomed for leadership." His eyes narrowed. It was quite the performance. My mind raced. A promotion would mean more money, more responsibility, more visibility. It would also make me look ungrateful if I accused her now. "She knows," I whispered. "She knows I'm on to her, and she's trying to buy my silence." "Or set you up for a bigger fall," Ryder suggested. "Promote you, integrate you further into her schemes, make you complicit." The elevator dinged, and Elaine stepped out, spotting us immediately. Her smile was warm as she approached, but her eyes were calculating. "June, just the person I wanted to see." She placed a hand on my shoulder. "I hope you don't mind. I made the announcement without you there. I wanted it to be a surprise." "It certainly was," I managed, my face carefully neutral. "We should discuss your new responsibilities over dinner. Are you free tomorrow night?" Her tone made it clear this wasn't really a question. "Actually, I have plans with Peyton tomorrow." The lie came easily. "But I could do Friday." "Perfect. The Capitol Grill at 7. She squeezed my shoulder. "I'm so proud of how far you've come under my guidance." Every word was a dagger, but I smiled through it. "I couldn't have done it without you." After she left, Ryder whistled low. "You should consider acting as a backup career." That was impressive. "I learned from the best," I said bitterly. "Listen, I need to tell you something, but not here." We walked to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, far enough from the office to be safe. There, I laid out everything I'd discovered: the systematic theft, the suspicious stock sales, Oscar's ambiguous position. Ryder's face grew increasingly grave. "June, this is way bigger than office politics. If they're trading on inside information, that's federal territory." "I know, that's why I need to be absolutely certain before I do anything." "What's your next move?" I took a deep breath. "I need to access Elaine's emails from March. I need to know what was in that meeting and who else might be involved." "That's risky as hell. So is doing nothing." I met his eyes. "Will you help me?" He hesitated, conflict clear on his face. What exactly would helping entail? "I need a distraction, something that will keep Elaine out of her office for at least 15 minutes while I check her computer." The weight of what I was asking hung between us. This wasn't just about standing up for myself anymore. This was potentially criminal activity on both sides. "If we get caught," he began. "I know, but if we don't try, they win." Again. Ryder was quiet for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Friday during your dinner, I'll create a system emergency that needs her immediate attention. You'll have 15 minutes max." As we parted ways, my phone buzzed with a text from Peyton. "I'm still mad at you, but I love you. Whatever you're doing, please be careful. Some things aren't worth the cost." I stared at the message, wondering if she was right. Then I thought of Elaine's smug face, announcing my promotion. A promotion built on my stolen work. And my resolve hardened. Some things were worth any cost. Friday arrived with the weight of inevitability. I spent the day in a state of hyper-awareness, noting every glance, every conversation around me. The office felt like a minefield. One wrong step, and everything would explode. Elaine was in meetings most of the day, which gave me time to prepare. I rehearsed what I would look for on her computer, how quickly I could search her emails, what keywords might yield results fastest. At 6:30, I left to meet her at the restaurant, my stomach in knots. The Capitol Grill was exactly the kind of place Elaine loved. Expensive, exclusive, the kind of establishment where deals were made over rare steaks and $100 bottles of wine. She was already there when I arrived, nursing a martini at a corner table with a perfect view of the room. Power positioning, another one of her tactics. "June," she smiled, rising slightly as I approached. "You look lovely." "Thank you," I said, smoothing the dress I'd chosen carefully. Professional but confident, armor for the battle ahead. We ordered drinks, made small talk about the weather, the restaurant, inconsequential office gossip. All the while I watched the minutes tick by on my watch, knowing Ryder would be positioning himself for our plan. "So," Elaine said finally, leaning forward, "let's talk about your future." Senior manager is just the beginning. I see a director role for you within 2 years, VP within 5. The path she described was exactly what I dreamed of when I joined the company. Now it felt tainted, built on theft and lies. That's very generous, I said carefully. I'm curious though, what exactly impressed you about my work on Westridge? A flicker of something, caution, perhaps, crossed her face before her smile returned. Your analytical approach, of course. The way you identified behavioral patterns, the competition missed. Interesting. That was actually based on research I did back in February, before you were even involved in the project. Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. We all build on each other's ideas, June. That's how good teams function. I hope you're not suggesting otherwise. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She glanced at it, frowned, and answered. This better be important. What? No, that's not possible. Her voice sharpened. I'll be right there. She hung up, already gathering her things. System crash at the office. The Westridge presentation is corrupted, and we need it for the morning meeting. She threw cash on the table. Rain check on dinner. We'll continue this conversation Monday. As she rushed out, I felt a surge of both relief and anxiety. Ryder had come through. Now it was my turn. I waited 5 minutes, then took a cab back to the office. The security guard waved me through. I was a familiar face, and plenty of people worked late on Fridays. The executive floor was deserted, except for the sound of raised voices coming from the IT department down the hall. Elaine's office was unlocked. She'd left in too much of a hurry to secure it. I slipped inside, heart pounding so loudly I was sure someone would hear it. Her computer was still on, the screensaver swirling colors across the monitor. I moved the mouse, and her desktop appeared. No password prompt. Another stroke of luck. She must have disabled the automatic lock when she stepped away. I went straight to her email, searching for March 15th. There it was, a calendar invitation from Oscar for the OS strategy meeting, with a note, usual place, bring the Q1 projections, private conversation. Attached was a document labeled Q1 Actual Vise G Projected.xlsx. I opened it and found 2 sets of numbers, the public projections shared with investors and the actual internal forecasts, which were significantly worse. They had known the company would miss its targets weeks before the public announcement. They had sold their shares based on that knowledge. Textbook insider trading. I forwarded the email to my personal account, then searched for any mention of my name. Dozens of results appeared. I clicked on the most recent, from yesterday. Oscar, June is getting too close to the Westridge situation. I'm promoting her to keep her loyal and distracted. If that doesn't work, we may need to consider a restructuring that moves her elsewhere. She's smart, but ultimately replaceable. Let's discuss options at our next meeting. My hands shook as I forwarded that email too. Then I heard it, footsteps approaching the office. I quickly closed everything, slipped behind the door, and held my breath. The door opened, and Lana walked in, her eyes scanning the room before landing on me. "What the hell are you doing?" she hissed. "I could ask you the same thing," I whispered back. She closed the door behind her. "I'm the one who texted you, you idiot. I've been trying to build a case against Elaine for months." I stared at her, processing this revelation. "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Because I needed to know if you were serious or just complaining." She glanced nervously at the door. "Did you find anything?" "Insider trading, Oscar and Elaine both, and proof she's been stealing my work." Lana's eyes widened. "We need to go, now. Ryder can't keep her distracted much longer." We slipped out of the office and took the stairs instead of the elevator, emerging on a lower floor where we wouldn't run into Elaine. My heart was still racing, adrenaline making my hands shake. "What happens now?" I asked as we reached the lobby. "Now we take what we have to the board, specifically to Diana, the chairwoman. She's the only one not in Oscar's pocket." Lana's voice was steady, determined. "But we need to move fast. If Elaine suspects anything, She already does, I interrupted, showing her the email about my promotion. She knows I'm on to her. Lana's face paled. Then we have no time to waste. The board meets Monday morning. We present our evidence then, or not at all. As we parted ways outside the building, my phone buzzed with a text from Elaine. System issue resolved. Strange that you left the restaurant without paying your share. Even stranger that security reports you entered the building 10 minutes after I arrived. My office, 8 a.m. Monday. Come prepared to explain yourself. I stared at the message, ice forming in my veins. She knew, somehow, she knew exactly what I'd done. The confrontation I'd been building toward was no longer a matter of if, but when. And Elaine had just seized control of the timing. The weekend passed, in a blur of preparation and anxiety. I barely slept, spending hours organizing evidence, rehearsing what I would say, and trying to anticipate Elaine's counterattacks. Lana and I spoke twice, coordinating our approach for the board meeting that would follow my confrontation with Elaine. Peyton came over Sunday night, our earlier argument forgotten in the face of what was coming. You don't have to do this alone, she said, sitting cross-legged on my couch as I paced the living room. I'm not alone. I have Lana and Ryder. You have work allies, she corrected. That's different from having someone who loves you, regardless of what happens tomorrow. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in weeks. Her eyes were tired, worried, but unwavering in their support. I'm scared, I admitted, the words catching in my throat. What if this backfires? What if I lose everything I've worked for? Then you start over, she said, simply. With me right beside you. I slept fitfully that night, dreaming of boardrooms that stretched endlessly, and Elaine's face multiplying like a hall of mirrors. I woke at 5 a.m., showered, and dressed with deliberate care, a charcoal suit that made me feel armored, hair pulled back severely, minimal makeup. Today wasn't about looking pretty, it was about looking formidable. The office was quiet when I arrived at 7:30, the early morning light casting long shadows across the empty desks. I used the time to set up in the small conference room, where the board would meet at 9 Psi, connecting my laptop to the projector, testing that everything worked. At 7:55, I walked to Elaine's office, my evidence folder tucked under my arm, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the glass walls, I could see her already at her desk, impeccably dressed as always, reviewing documents with the serene confidence of someone who believed themselves untouchable. I knocked once and entered without waiting for permission. Right on time, she said, without looking up. Close the door. I did, then remained standing, refusing the chair she gestured toward. I prefer to stand. Now she looked up, her eyes narrowing slightly. Suit yourself. Would you like to explain why you were in my office Friday night? No point in denying it. I was gathering evidence of your systematic theft of my work and your insider trading with Oscar. If I expected shock or outrage, I was disappointed. Elaine merely leaned back in her chair, studying me with something like curiosity. Bold accusation. Proof? I placed the folder on her desk, but kept my hand on it. Emails, documents, timestamps, enough to convince the board, which meets in an hour. The board, she repeated, a small smile playing at her lips. You think the board will believe a senior manager? Oh, wait. You're not even that yet. Over the COO who's doubled the company's market share. I think they'll believe evidence. And I think they'll be very interested in those stock sales in March. Something flickered in her eyes, the first crack in her composure. You're making a mistake, June. One that will end your career, not just here, but everywhere. No one hires troublemakers. Is that what you told Lana and the others before her? I leaned forward, placing my palms on her desk. Did you really think we wouldn't eventually find each other? Compare notes, realize what you've been doing. She stood abruptly, her chair rolling back to hit the wall. You ungrateful little, she caught herself, visibly regaining control. I made you. Everything you know about this business, you learned from me. No, I said, my voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through me. You used me, you used all of us, and now it stops. This isn't a negotiation, she snapped. What do you want? Money? A real promotion? Name it. I want credit for my work. I want you to admit what you've done. And I want you to resign. She laughed, the sound brittle and sharp. Never going to happen. Then I'll see you in the boardroom. I turned to leave. June. Her voice stopped me at the door. Think about what you're doing. Oscar won't let this happen. He needs me. I looked back at her, suddenly seeing not the intimidating figure who had loomed so large in my professional life, but simply a woman cornered by her own deceptions. Maybe he does, but after the board sees the evidence of your insider trading together, he'll be too busy saving himself to help you. The boardroom was filling up when I arrived. Lana was already there, sitting quietly in a corner, her face a mask of professional calm. Ryder stood by the coffee station, giving me a subtle nod. Oscar entered last, followed by Elaine, both of them radiating confidence that seemed forced around the edges. Diana, the board chairwoman, called the meeting to order. I understand we have an unscheduled presentation this morning. I stood, feeling every eye in the room on me. Yes, I have evidence of systematic intellectual property theft within the company, as well as potential securities violations. Oscar's face darkened. This is ridiculous. We don't have time for— Let her speak, Diana interrupted, her gaze sharp. Serious allegations deserve a hearing. I connected my laptop to the projector and began. With each slide, each email, each comparison of my original work to Elaine's claimed versions, the room grew more tense. When I reached the March stock sales and the internal projections that had been hidden from investors, the silence became absolute. This is absurd, Elaine finally said, her voice tight. These emails could be doctored. This is clearly a vindictive attempt by a junior employee who's angry about— They're not doctored, Lana interrupted, standing. I have copies of the same emails, obtained separately. As do I, came another voice. Ryder stood, holding up a flash drive. Different access point, same evidence. Elaine's face went rigid. She turned to Oscar, clearly expecting him to intervene. But he was staring at the projection screen, the color draining from his face. I think, Diana said into the silence, we need to continue this discussion without Ms. May and Mr. Murray present. Would you both please step outside while the board confers? Elaine stood, her movements stiff. This isn't over, she said, looking directly at me. I met her gaze steadily. Yes, it is. As she walked out, shoulders back, head high even in defeat, I felt no triumph, only a hollow relief that the truth was finally exposed. Diana turned to me after they left. That was either the bravest or the most foolish thing I've seen in 30 years of business. Sometimes they're the same thing, I said. She almost smiled. Indeed. Now tell us everything. From the beginning. I took a deep breath and started again, my voice stronger with each word. The weight I'd carried for months was lifting, replaced by something that felt surprisingly like freedom. The board meeting lasted 3 hours. By the end, my voice was hoarse, my confidence wavering under the relentless questioning. But the evidence spoke for itself. Undeniable, damning, impossible to explain away. When I finally emerged, the office was buzzing with whispers. Elaine and Oscar had been escorted from the building by security, their personal items to be packed and delivered later. The official story was pending investigation into ethical violations. But the truth raced through the company's gossip channels at light speed. Lana caught up with me at the elevator. Diana wants to see you tomorrow morning. Just you. What about you? And Ryder? We've had our meetings already. She smiled, a genuine expression I'd never seen from her before. I think you'll be pleased with the outcome. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow, drained of the anger that had fueled me for weeks. I walked back to my desk in a daze, unsure what to do next. A small crowd had gathered there. Colleagues with questions, congratulations, confessions of their own negative experiences with Elaine. I answered mechanically, still processing the morning's events. Give her some space, Ryder finally said, dispersing the onlookers. When we were alone, he leaned against my desk. How are you really doing? I don't know, I admitted. I didn't think beyond this moment. That's understandable. It's been all-consuming. He hesitated. Listen, there's something you should know. Something I couldn't tell you before. My guard instantly rose. What? I was on Elaine's list too, 3 years ago, before you joined. A marketing campaign I developed. She took full credit. When I confronted her, she threatened to fire me for performance issues if I pursued it. I stared at him. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed, he said simply. I gave up. I let her win. You didn't. The revelation shifted something in me, not just how I saw Ryder, but how I saw myself. I hadn't just fought for my work. I'd fought for everyone who couldn't or didn't. That night, I met Peyton for dinner, bringing a bottle of champagne I couldn't really afford. To justice, she said, raising her glass. To surviving, I countered. We talked for hours, not just about Elaine and the fallout, but about everything I'd been too preoccupied to discuss in recent weeks. Peyton's new project at the gallery, her brother's engagement, the trip we'd been planning before my work consumed me. So what happens now? She asked as we walked back to my apartment. I meet with Diana tomorrow. Beyond that, I shrugged. I honestly don't know. Are you afraid? I considered the question carefully. No, I realized. For the first time in months, I'm not afraid. The next morning, Diana was waiting in what had been Oscar's office. The view of the city spread out behind her. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. The board has voted to terminate both Elaine and Oscar. The SEC has been notified about the stock sales. She gestured for me to sit. We're facing a significant leadership vacuum. I nodded, unsure where this was going. We need someone to take over the marketing department immediately. Someone who understands the projects in progress, who has demonstrated both creativity and integrity. She fixed me with a penetrating look. I'm offering you the position of acting director of marketing. My breath caught. That's a significant promotion. Yes, it is. Too significant, some might say, for someone your age, with your experience level. Her expression was unreadable, which is why it's temporary. 6 months. Prove yourself, and we'll make it permanent. Fail, and we'll bring someone else in. It was both an incredible opportunity and a potential setup for failure. The department was in chaos, morale at rock bottom. Taking over now meant inheriting all of Elaine's problems without her connections or experience. I have conditions, I heard myself say. Diana's eyebrows rose. I'm listening. First, I want Lana transferred back to her original team with a promotion to team lead. Second, I want a full audit of all projects from the past 2 years, with proper credit restored to the actual creators. And third, I took a deep breath. I want a seat at the table when you discuss the company's ethical guidelines moving forward. I expected resistance, maybe even withdrawal of the offer. Instead, Diana smiled. A small, approving expression. Done, and done. Anything else? Yes. I want it in writing that I report directly to you, not to whoever replaces Oscar. She nodded. Smart, I was hoping you'd say that. She slid a folder across the desk. The paperwork is already prepared. Take the day to think about it. I didn't need a day. I signed immediately, my signature firm and decisive, in a way it hadn't been before all this began. As I left Oscar's, now Diana's office, I passed the conference room, where everything had come to a head. Through the glass, I could see a maintenance worker removing Elaine's name plaque from the wall. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Congratulations on the promotion. Enjoy it while it lasts. This isn't over. I should have felt frightened. Instead, I felt a strange calm. Whoever it was, Elaine or Oscar, or someone else entirely, they were missing the point. They still thought this was about power, about winning and losing. I deleted the message without responding and walked to what would now be my office. On the desk sat the silver pen Elaine had given me, retrieved from my old workspace. Ambition is the path to success. I picked it up, feeling its weight one last time, then dropped it into the trash. Success wasn't about ambition. It was about creation, integrity, and the courage to stand your ground when the world tried to move you. Elaine had taught me that lesson, just not in the way she intended.
The cream-colored envelope slid across the mahogany table with practiced grace, but I caught the slight tremor in Emily's manicured hand. That tiny shake told me everything I needed to know. My mother-in-law was enjoying this moment far too much. My name is Louisa, and after 7 years of marriage into the Fernandez family, I've learned to read between the lines of every thoughtful gesture. A luxury anniversary cruise, Emily announced, her voice dripping honey. 10 days in the Mediterranean. Harrison, darling, you and your wife must be thrilled. I watched my husband's face carefully as he opened the envelope. His expression remained neutral, practiced. Thank you, Mother. This is generous. The dining room of their mansion felt suffocating, despite the high ceilings and expensive art. I reached for the cruise documents, noting how Harrison's fingers tightened slightly before releasing them. That's when I saw it. Or rather, didn't see it. The booking is only in Harrison's name, I said quietly, flipping through the papers. The cabin reservation, the dining arrangements, even the shore excursions, all listed under Mr. Harrison Fernandez. Emily's smile widened fractionally. Oh? Must be a clerical error. Though really, dear, does it matter? You'll be together anyway. I felt Harrison's Aunt Christine shift uncomfortably in her chair. She knew. They all knew. It's fine, Harrison cut in before I could respond. We can sort it out when we board. But he didn't meet my eyes. I smiled, the kind of smile I'd perfected over years of similar oversights. Of course. Thank you, Emily. It's a wonderful gift. Later that night in our bedroom, I carefully hung up the designer dress I'd worn to dinner. Harrison was in his study, as usual, probably texting his assistant Talia about some urgent work matter. My phone buzzed. A text from Wallace, my lawyer. Documents received. Timing works perfectly with maritime jurisdiction. Are you sure about this? I typed back, absolutely. 7 years of being erased is enough. They won't see it coming, Wallace replied. Not on their precious cruise. I walked to my closet, pushed aside the row of expensive clothes Harrison's family had chosen for me, and pulled out the false bottom I'd installed months ago. Inside lay a manila envelope stuffed with bank statements, email printouts, photos, and a burner phone. 7 months of evidence, carefully collected while playing the perfect wife. Another buzz from Wallace. Remember, once we serve papers in international waters, they're trapped. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide assets. Your mother-in-law's gift just gave us the perfect stage. I touched the cruise documents on my dresser. Emily had orchestrated this final slight thinking it would break me. Instead, she'd handed me exactly what I needed, a captive audience for what was coming. My phone lit up with a message from Harrison. Working late. Don't wait up. I texted back, of course, honey. Love you. Then I opened my laptop and double-checked my private email. The confirmation from the private investigator was there, along with fresh photos of Harrison and Talia entering a hotel yesterday afternoon. The bedroom door opened, and I quickly switched screens. Harrison walked in, loosening his tie. Mother wants us to have brunch tomorrow to discuss the cruise details. Wouldn't miss it, I said, closing my laptop. Though I should probably check if I can even board, since my name isn't on anything. He sighed that familiar sigh, the one that said I was being difficult. You're making something out of nothing. Again. I watched him walk into the bathroom, remembering how he'd used the same dismissive tone when Emily forgot my birthday last year, and when she told everyone at Christmas that my dress was inappropriate after she'd bought it for me herself. And when she changed our anniversary dinner reservations to exclude me, claiming there must have been a mix-up with the names. "You're right," I called out, my voice sweet. "I'm sure it's nothing." I pulled out my phone and sent one final text to Wallace. "Start the countdown. 3 weeks until the cruise. Time to make them remember my name." In the bathroom, I heard Harrison on his phone, speaking quietly, probably telling Talia goodnight. I opened the cruise brochure, studying the layout of the ship that would become my stage. The grand dining hall looked perfect for what I had planned. 7 years of being the good wife who just follows along. 7 years of swallowing my pride while they erased me piece by piece. But they forgot one thing. The quietest person in the room is the one who hears everything. And I've heard enough to burn their perfect world to the ground. The cruise ship loomed above us like a floating city, all gleaming white steel and endless rows of balconies. Emily practically glided through check-in, dropping the family name every chance she got. "We're the Fernandez party," she announced to the 4th staff member in 10 minutes. "The owner's suite." Her eyes flickered to me. "And this is Harrison's wife." The porter's smile wavered slightly as he checked his tablet. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm only showing Mr. Harrison as the registered guest for that suite." "Oh dear, another clerical error?" Emily's concern was theatrical. "Harrison, darling, sort this out." I watched my husband step forward, credit card ready, while I stood back with our luggage. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Wallace checking in. I'd have to wait to respond. "All fixed," Harrison announced minutes later, handing me a keycard. "Though you really should have brought this up before we boarded." I smiled apologetically. "You're right. Silly me." That evening, while Harrison showered, I sat at the suite's desk with my laptop. The ship's Wi-Fi was excellent, exactly as I'd confirmed it would be when I'd researched this specific cruise line months ago. A soft knock at the door made me quickly switch screens. It was Christine. "Louisa, dear, the family's meeting for drinks in an hour." She peered past me into the suite. "Is Harrison here?" "Showering. I'll tell him." She lingered in the doorway. "I ran into Damien earlier. Harrison's lawyer friend? He's on board too. Such a coincidence." "Really?" I kept my voice neutral. "How nice." "Yes. They're probably discussing that offshore account situation." Christine's eyes widened slightly as she realized what she'd said. "I mean, the business matter. You know how it is with these financial things." "Of course." I smiled warmly. "Would you like to come in?" "Oh no, I should go change. Emily insists we dress properly for dinner. You did bring something appropriate?" After she left, I pulled out my phone and played back the recording of our conversation. Christine's slip about the offshore account was perfect. Exactly the kind of evidence Wallace had said we needed. I opened my suitcase and reached into the hidden compartment I'd sewn into the lining. The small voice recorder was still there, waiting. Damien liked to drink and talk, especially about his clever legal maneuvers. Now I just needed to get it into his suite. At drinks, Emily held court in the ship's most exclusive bar, introducing Harrison to every wealthy passenger within reach. I sat quietly, watching Damien knock back his third scotch while telling stories about law school. "Remember that professor?" He laughed, slapping Harrison's shoulder. "The one who taught us about hiding assets during divorce? Man, that class was valuable." I excused myself to use the restroom, palming the recorder. Damien's suite number was easy to get. I'd heard Emily arranging adjacent rooms for everyone earlier. The service corridor gave me access to his balcony. 10 seconds later, the recorder was tucked behind his desk, and I was back in the hallway. My phone buzzed again. "Wallace. Got your email. Bank records confirm unusual transfers starting 6 months ago. You were right." I thought back to that day, sitting in our home office, when Harrison's email had accidentally synced to my laptop. Seeing messages pop up from Talia. "Miss you already. Last night was amazing. When can we be together for real?" I'd stayed quiet, started gathering evidence, and watched as Harrison grew more careless. The hotel receipts, the business dinners, the way Talia started showing up at family events, always standing just a little too close to my husband. Back in our suite that night, Harrison was on his phone again. Talia says there's an emergency at the office. She might need to fly out to meet us at one of the ports. Whatever you think is best, honey. I focused on unpacking my clothes, carefully hanging each piece. You know, you could try being more grateful, he said suddenly. This cruise wasn't cheap. I turned to face him. You're right. Thank you for bringing me on your family's cruise. He missed my emphasis on your, just like he missed me sliding my laptop into the room safe. The one containing screenshots of every email, every bank transfer, every hotel booking he thought he'd deleted. My phone lit up with a message from Amy, a friendly passenger I'd met earlier. Drinks tomorrow? You seem like you could use a friend on this boat. I replied yes as Harrison climbed into bed, his back turned to my side as usual. In the darkness, I touched the thin gold wedding band on my finger. 3 more days until we reached international waters. 3 days until the perfect wife disappeared, leaving only truth in her wake. Good night, Harrison, I whispered. He was already pretending to be asleep. Your mother-in-law is something else, Amy said, stirring her mojito. We sat in a quiet corner of the pool deck, watching Emily hold court with her usual crowd of admirers. I've never seen someone correct a waiter's pronunciation of bruschetta quite so aggressively. I sipped my drink, enjoying the afternoon sun. That's nothing. Wait until someone serves her wine at the wrong temperature. And your husband just lets her treat you like that? Harrison learned from the best. I nodded toward where he sat with Damien, both of them pretending to read financial papers while sneaking glances at their phones. The ship's horn sounded, announcing our approach to the next port. Right on schedule, I spotted Talia walking across the deck, designer luggage in tow. She'd done her homework, wearing the exact shade of blue Emily had praised at last month's charity gala. Who's that? Amy asked, following my gaze. Harrison's assistant. Here to handle an emergency at the office. I kept my voice light, even as I watched Talia approach our group. Emily's face lit up. Talia, darling, what a wonderful surprise. Harrison stood quickly, too quickly. Mother, you remember my assistant? The Tokyo deal needed immediate attention. I checked my phone under the table, making sure the camera was recording. Every greeting, every touch that lasted a second too long, every glance between my husband and his mistress, all documented. Louisa, Talia nodded at me, her smile perfect. I hope you don't mind me crashing your anniversary cruise. Duty calls. Of course not, I smiled back. Harrison's work is important. Amy's eyebrows shot up, but she said nothing. That evening, I dressed carefully for the captain's dinner, a black dress that Emily had deemed acceptable last Christmas. Harrison and Talia had disappeared for a business meeting, but I knew they'd show up eventually. They always did, just far enough apart to avoid suspicion. More wine? Christine appeared at my elbow, already tipsy. You seem tense, dear. I'm fine. Just tired from all the excitement. Speaking of excitement, did Harrison tell you about the new accounts? The ones in the Caymans? She giggled. Oops. Probably shouldn't mention those. My phone recorded every word. Mrs. Fernandez? A crew member approached. There's a call for you at the purser's desk. It was Wallace. Everything's in place, he said when I picked up the secure line. We've got enough evidence. Are you ready to proceed? I watched Harrison and Talia slip into the dining room through different doors, precisely 3 minutes apart. Yes, tomorrow night. Your husband's been busy, Wallace continued. 3 new transfers this morning. He really thinks he's covering his tracks. He learned from Damien. I lowered my voice. Speaking of which, check your email. The recording from his suite is enlightening. Back at dinner, Emily was explaining the proper way to address household staff. I sat quietly, playing my role one last time. My phone buzzed with a text from Amy. "You okay? You've got that look." "What look?" I texted back. "Like you're watching a house burn down and you're holding matches." I smiled into my wine glass. Close, but not quite. I was holding a blowtorch. Harrison leaned over. "Mother wants us all to do the sunset yacht excursion tomorrow." "Sounds lovely. Will Talia be joining us for that business meeting too?" His jaw tightened. "You're being ridiculous." "Am I?" I touched his arm gently. "You have lipstick on your collar. That shade of pink isn't my color." He paled slightly, then recovered. "You're imagining things. Again." "Of course I am." I stood up. "Excuse me. I need some air." On the deck, I finally checked the message I'd been avoiding all day. Wallace had sent a simple text. "We've got enough. You ready?" I typed back, "Tomorrow night, the grand dining hall. Make sure everyone's served." Amy found me at the railing. "Want to talk about it?" "Ever watch someone dig their own grave?" I asked, staring at the dark water below. "The trick is to hand them exactly the shovel they want." "That's cryptic." I laughed softly. "Tomorrow night, come to dinner in the grand hall. Wear something nice." "Why?" "Because some anniversaries deserve a proper celebration." I straightened my dress. "And some families need to learn that just the wife can be the most dangerous person at the table." Below us, I could see Harrison and Talia in a shadowy corner of the lower deck, their silhouettes merging. I took a picture, added it to my evidence folder, and smiled. One more night of being the good wife who follows. Then I'd show them exactly where this path led. The florist arranged white roses in the grand dining hall while I watched from the doorway. Everything had to be perfect for tonight's anniversary celebration. "Mrs. Madam?" The florist hesitated, clearly unsure how to address me after Emily's complicated instructions. "Where would you like the card?" I handed her the envelope. Inside was a note I'd spent weeks crafting. "To my dearest husband, 7 years of memories, each one a lesson." My phone buzzed. "Wallace. Papers are ready. Security's been briefed. Remember, once we start, there's no going back." I touched the small USB drive in my pocket, a complete record of Harrison's betrayal, backed up in triplicate. "Good," I typed back. "How's the account situation?" He tried changing the PIN again this morning, as if that matters now. I smiled, remembering Harrison's smug face when he'd first suggested I let him handle all our finances. "A wife shouldn't worry about such things," he'd said, Emily nodding approvingly behind him. Amy appeared beside me, coffee in hand. "Fancy setup. Sure you want to do this?" "Watch this," I said, pulling out my phone. I opened the banking app and tried to log in. Access denied. "He locked you out again?" "Third time this month." I showed her the screen. "He thinks he's being clever." "What a prince," Amy muttered. "You know, I've been meaning to ask. Why go through with this whole dinner charade? Why not just serve him papers quietly?" I led her to a quiet corner. Because some lessons need an audience. Emily spent 7 years making sure I had one for every humiliation. Now it's my turn. Speaking of Emily, Amy nodded toward the entrance where my mother-in-law was inspecting the table settings. "Louisa, dear," Emily called out, "the placement cards are all wrong. The family should be seated together." I walked over, the picture of compliance. "Of course, I'll have them fixed. And do make sure Talia is comfortable. She's practically family now." Emily's smile was razor sharp. "Though I suppose you've noticed that?" "I notice everything, Emily." I matched her smile. "That's what good wives do, right?" She paused, something flickering behind her eyes. But before she could respond, Harrison and Damien entered, deep in conversation. "The offshore transfers are solid," Damien was saying. "No one can trace." He stopped abruptly, seeing me. "Don't mind me," I said sweetly. "Just arranging flowers for our anniversary." Harrison barely glanced at the decorations. Make sure Mother approves everything. Oh, I'm sure she'll find tonight very memorable. I touched the USB drive again. Everyone will. Back in our suite, I laid out my outfit for dinner. A red dress Emily had called attention-seeking last year. Perfect for tonight's performance. My laptop chimed with an email from Wallace. Final confirmation needed. Guest list verified. Legal team standing by. I attached the last few photos I'd taken of Harrison and Talia's business meeting in the ship's library. Green light, I replied. Start at 8 p.m. sharp. A knock at the door made me jump. It was Christine, already swaying slightly from afternoon cocktails. Just checking you're wearing something appropriate tonight, she said, peering at my dress. Emily's very particular about special occasions. Oh, I know exactly what this occasion calls for. I helped her steady herself against the door frame. By the way, how's that offshore account working out? The one you mentioned yesterday? Christine's face went pale. That was just... Don't worry, I patted her arm. Everything will make sense at dinner. After she stumbled away, I got a text from Amy. Your mother-in-law just ordered the staff to rearrange the whole seating plan. Again. Let her, I typed back. Everyone will end up exactly where they need to be. I opened my safe one last time, checking the contents. Divorce papers, financial records, photos, emails, and a small recording device. 7 years of evidence, carefully collected while playing the perfect wife. Harrison's voice came from the bathroom. Have you seen my blue tie? The one you wore to meet Talia yesterday? I kept my tone innocent. It's with the dry cleaning. He appeared in the doorway, frowning. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, honey. Just helping you keep track of things. I closed the safe quietly. That's what wives are for, right? My phone lit up with Wallace's final message. Point of no return. Ready? I looked at Harrison, already back on his phone, probably texting Talia about tonight's seating arrangement. 7 years of playing their game, following their rules, swallowing their insults. Ready? I typed back. Time to serve dinner. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the grand dining hall as guests filtered in. Emily presided over the seating arrangements like a general organizing troops, while Harrison and Talia maintained their careful distance. Him at the bar, her chatting with Damien. Everything's ready, Amy whispered as she passed by. I've got my phone ready to record, just like you asked. I nodded, smoothing my red dress. The USB drive felt heavy in my clutch. Ladies and gentlemen, Emily stood tapping her glass. Before we begin this lovely anniversary dinner, I'd like to say a few words about my son and his wife. The pause before wife was deliberate. Classic Emily. 7 years ago, Harrison brought Louisa into our family. And while she's been... Emily's smile tightened. Different from what we expected, she's learned to follow our traditions. Harrison raised his glass, not meeting my eyes. Talia shifted in her seat. So here's to the happy couple, Emily concluded. May they continue to uphold the family name. Actually, I stood slowly. I'd like to say something too. Emily's smile froze. Harrison's head snapped up. 7 years is a long time to learn lessons, I began, reaching for my clutch. About marriage, about family, about loyalty. I pulled out the envelope of divorce papers and slid them across to Harrison. Happy anniversary, darling. The room went silent. Harrison stared at the envelope like it might bite him. Louisa, Emily's voice held a warning. This is hardly the time. Oh, but it is. I pulled out the USB drive. Because I have a gift for you too, Emily. Would someone mind connecting this to the dining room's display screen? Before anyone could stop her, Amy had already plugged it in. The first image appeared. Harrison and Talia entering a hotel, time-stamped last week. What is this? Harrison stood up, his face red. Evidence, I said calmly, of the affair you've been having with your assistant. Of the money you've been hiding offshore. Of every little scheme you and Damien cooked up to protect your assets. Damien choked on his wine. You can't prove. I pressed play on my phone. His voice filled the room. The offshore accounts are untraceable. Harrison's wife will never see a dime. Christine gasped. Emily's face turned ashen. But wait, I continued. There's more. Emily, remember all those clerical errors with my name? The forgotten birthdays? The deliberate humiliations? I clicked to the next slide. I kept records of those too. You ungrateful little... Emily started to rise, but Harrison grabbed her arm. Enough, he hissed. We can handle this privately. Like you handled your Tokyo business trips privately? I played another recording, Talia's voice this time, discussing their planned future together. The dining room had become a theater, other passengers openly staring. Someone was filming on their phone. Security, Harrison called out. Remove her. They can't, I smiled. Wallace? Care to explain? My lawyer stepped out from the corner where he'd been waiting. Mr. Harrison, as we're in international waters, and given the evidence of financial fraud we've uncovered, any attempt to remove your wife would be legally unfortunate. You planned this, Emily whispered. All of it. I learned from the best, Mother. I savored the word. You taught me how important appearances are, how the family name must be protected. I clicked to the final slide. Bank statements showing Harrison's hidden accounts. Speaking of protection, the authorities are very interested in these transactions. Damien, I believe your law license might be in jeopardy. Talia stood abruptly. I should go. Stay, I said. You're part of the family now, remember? Emily said so herself. Harrison lunged for the USB drive, but Amy had already removed it. It's too late, I told him. Everything's been copied, distributed, and filed with the relevant authorities. You'll get nothing, he snarled. I made sure. Check your accounts, Wallace suggested mildly. Harrison grabbed his phone, his face draining of color as he tried to log in. What did you do? Frozen, I explained. All of them, even the secret ones. Turns out fraud leaves quite a paper trail. Emily slumped in her chair, her perfect posture finally breaking. The scandal is just beginning. I picked up my clutch. Consider it my parting gift, a lesson in consequences. As I walked toward the door, I paused beside Emily. By the way, my name isn't Harrison's wife. It's Louisa. You might want to remember that. The press certainly will. The last thing I heard was Amy's delighted laugh and the sound of Emily calling for smelling salts. In the hallway, Wallace fell into step beside me. Well done, he said. Where to now? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in 7 years. I hear the ship's ice bar is excellent. Perfect place to celebrate a divorce. Behind us, chaos erupted in the dining room. But I didn't look back. Some fires are meant to burn everything down. The lock clicked satisfyingly as I secured myself in my suite. Outside, I could hear the whispers and footsteps of passengers discussing what they dubbed the Table 9 showdown. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since I'd left the dining room. Harrison, Emily, Christine. Even Talia had tried calling. I silenced them all except for Amy and Wallace. A sharp knock rattled the door. Louisa! Emily's voice was shrill. Open this door immediately. I don't think I will, I called back, pouring myself a glass of champagne I'd ordered earlier. You vindictive little... She rattled the handle. Do you have any idea what you've done? Exactly what you taught me, I replied calmly. Protect yourself at all costs. Isn't that the family motto? Heavy footsteps approached. Harrison. Security's coming to remove you from the ship. Wallace? I said loudly enough to carry through the door. Care to explain maritime law again? My lawyer's voice came from somewhere in the hallway. Any attempt to forcibly remove Mrs. Louisa from her cabin would constitute illegal detainment in international waters. The cruise line is already aware. You planned everything, Harrison's voice cracked slightly. All of it. The cruise, the timing. No, darling. Your mother planned the cruise. I just played the card she dealt me. I sipped my champagne. By the way, how's Talia handling the spotlight? A new voice joined the chorus. Christine, slurring slightly. Emily's having chest pains. Are you happy now? Chest pains? I laughed. Funny how those happen when accountability shows up. My phone buzzed with a text from Amy. OMG, the video is already trending. Her Table 9 showdown is taking off. I opened social media, and sure enough, shaky footage of my presentation was spreading. The comments were brutal. Rich family gets owned by trophy wife. That mother-in-law had it coming. Another knock, gentler this time. Louisa? It was Damien. Let's discuss this reasonably. There might be a way to keep this quiet. Like the way you kept Harrison's offshore accounts quiet? I played his recorded confession through the door. Or should we discuss your creative accounting advice? You recorded me? His voice rose. That's illegal. Actually, Wallace cut in international waters. Stop saying international waters, Emily shrieked. I heard a commotion outside. Probably ship security arriving to control the scene. My phone lit up with a call from Wallace. Coast Guard's been notified of a potential situation, he said when I answered. They're monitoring to ensure no one tries anything stupid. How are you holding up? Better than Emily, I replied, loud enough to carry. I hear she's having chest pains. A new text from Amy. Holy shit. Some passengers are selling footage to entertainment sites. This is going viral. I walked to the balcony, champagne in hand. Below, I could see passengers gathered, pointing up at the unfolding drama. 7 years of swallowed rage, of perfect smiles and quiet compliance, all exploding in one perfectly orchestrated night. Louisa. Harrison's voice was closer to the door now, softer. Please, we can talk about this. Like we talked about Talia? I asked. Or the money you've been hiding? Or how about all those times your mother erased me while you stood by? Silence. That's what I thought. I took another sip. By the way, Wallace has copies of everything. If anything happens to me, it all goes public. Every email, every photo, every bank transfer. You're bluffing, Emily said, but her voice wavered. I played another recording, Harrison and Talia planning their future together. Am I? More security arrived, dispersing the growing crowd of onlookers. My phone buzzed with news alerts. Cruise ship drama. Wealthy family's scandal goes viral. And maritime revenge. Wife serves cold justice at sea. Amy knocked on my balcony door. We had connecting rooms, something I'd arranged months ago. I let her in. You're kind of infamous now, she grinned, holding up her phone. Twitter is living for this. Outside, I could still hear Emily demanding action, Harrison trying to damage control, and Damien probably having a career crisis. But in here, watching the sunset over the ocean, I felt nothing but peace. Was it worth it? Amy asked, accepting a glass of champagne. I thought about every fake smile, every subtle dig, every time Harrison chose his mother over me. They spent 7 years teaching me how to destroy someone politely. I raised my glass. I just turned out to be a better student than they expected. A final text from Wallace popped up. Damage is done. No taking it back now. Good, I typed back. Some things shouldn't be taken back. They should be burned down and rebuilt from scratch. Through the door, I heard Emily finally admit defeat. Harrison, call the family lawyer. Now. I smiled. The night was still young, and karma was just getting started. The ship docked under a bright morning sun, but the atmosphere was anything but cheerful. Harrison waited by the gangway, his usually perfect appearance noticeably disheveled. Behind him, Emily sat in a wheelchair, attended by the ship's doctor. Her chest pains had evolved into a convenient crisis. "We need to talk," Harrison said, as I approached with my luggage. "Privately." "Nothing about this is private anymore." I nodded toward the crowd of passengers filming on their phones. "How's social media treating you?" "I can offer a settlement," he lowered his voice. "Right now, whatever you want." Wallace appeared at my side. "My client isn't interested in negotiations." "The prenup," Harrison started, "becomes void in cases of infidelity," I finished. "You really should have read it more carefully, instead of assuming it expired after 5 years. Emily's wheelchair squeaked as she pushed herself forward. "You ungrateful little witch. After everything we gave you—" "Gave me?" I laughed. "You mean like the cruise booking without my name? Or the birthday party where you told everyone I wasn't invited? Or maybe you mean giving me a front row seat to your son's affair?" A town car pulled up to the curb. Wallace opened the door for me. "This isn't over." Harrison grabbed my arm. "Actually, it is." I pulled free. "Check your office email. Your firm's partners are very interested in those offshore accounts, especially the ones hiding client money." His face went pale. Behind him, Damien was having an intense phone conversation, probably with his ethics board. "You've destroyed everything," Emily wheezed dramatically. "No, you did that." I turned to face her fully. "Every time you undermined me, every time you encouraged Harrison's worst behavior, every time you thought your money made you untouchable, you built this moment yourself." My phone buzzed. Amy had sent a meme made from the dining room footage, my face superimposed over various revenge movie posters. "You're trending," she texted. "Revenge at sea is going crazy." "The media's calling," Harrison said desperately. "What am I supposed to tell them?" "The truth?" I suggested. "Or is that too foreign a concept?" Christine stumbled forward, still drunk from last night. "The family name. Our reputation. We'll survive," I said. "Or it won't. Either way, not my problem anymore." Wallace guided me toward the car. "The papers are being processed. Given the evidence, it should be quick." "You can't just walk away," Harrison called after me. I turned back one last time. "Watch me." "Oh, and Talia?" I spotted her trying to hide behind a pillar. "The assistant position might be opening up soon. I hear the firm's facing some investigations." In the car, I finally let out the scream I'd been holding in for 7 years. It started as a laugh and ended in tears. Not of sadness, but of release. My phone lit up with notifications. News sites were running the story. Cruise ship revenge, wife exposes family's secrets at sea, and maritime marriage meltdown, social media reacts. "Your grandmother's cottage is ready," Wallace said, checking his tablet. "Everything's been transferred to your name, completely separate from the family assets." Emily must have loved that, I smiled, remembering how she'd sneered at my grandmother's quaint little house when she'd left it to me. A text from Amy popped up with a video link. Someone had set the dining room scene to dramatic movie music. "You're a legend," she wrote. "Also, karma's already hitting. Harrison's firm is trending for all the wrong reasons." I watched the city pass by through the car window, feeling lighter with each mile between me and the dock. 7 years of playing the perfect wife, of swallowing insults with a smile, of watching Harrison choose his mother over me again and again. "Wallace?" I asked. "Was it worth it? All of it?" He showed me his phone, a news alert about Harrison's law firm launching an internal investigation, another about Damien facing an ethics inquiry, and a society page photo of Emily being helped into an ambulance, her perfect image finally cracked. "You tell me," he said. I thought about the dining room, about Emily's face when the evidence appeared on screen, about Harrison realizing his carefully constructed world was burning down. "They thought money made them invincible," I said. "They never expected the quiet one to be taking notes." My phone buzzed one last time. An email from a publisher. "Your story has captured the nation's attention. Would you be interested in telling it in full? I smiled, thinking of all the quiet wives out there, swallowing their pride, playing their roles. Maybe it was time for a different kind of family story. Yes, I typed back. I think it's time everyone learned what happens when you push the good wife too far. Behind us, the cruise ship's horn sounded, a final farewell to the family I just burned to the ground. The cottage windows let in streams of morning light as I set up my new home office. My rescue dog, Max, sprawled across the sun-warmed hardwood floors while I unpacked the last box, the one marked Evidence. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Law firm partners vote to remove Harrison following financial investigation. Karma's not just a concept, I muttered to Max. It's a promise. Amy's call came right on schedule. Have you seen the latest? Emily had to step down from 3 charity boards, and Christine is in rehab. Wallace mentioned that. I settled into my grandmother's old writing desk. How's the internet taking it? Your story's being shared in every women's group. You're like a folk hero for trapped wives everywhere. The doorbell rang. Max barked once, then wagged his tail as I opened the door to find Wallace holding a thick manila envelope. It's done, he said, handing it to me. Divorce finalized. The judge was particularly interested in those offshore account records. I led him to the kitchen, where coffee was already brewing. How bad is it for them? Harrison's firm is imploding. Turns out he wasn't just hiding his own money. Wallace accepted a mug. Damien's been disbarred. And Emily, he smiled. Let's just say the society pages aren't being kind. My laptop chimed with an email notification, another interview request. The publisher wanted the full story, from first meeting Harrison to the final showdown at sea. You should do it. Wallace nodded at my screen. People need to hear how these things happen, how abuse isn't always bruises. It's the quiet cuts, I agreed, the small erosions of dignity, death by 1,000 polite humiliations. My phone lit up with a text from Talia. I'm sorry. I should have known he'd do to me what he did to you. Looks like your replacement's having regrets, Wallace noted. She'll learn. They all do. I opened my laptop and created a new document. The cursor blinked, waiting. Another news alert. Emily hospitalized again following social media backlash. Still playing victim, I muttered. Speaking of playing, Wallace pulled out his tablet. Your new PR firm is taking off. 3 clients already, all wanting to rebuild after toxic relationships. I thought about my grandmother's words before she died. That house they mock? It's your escape hatch, dear. Use it when you're ready. She'd known. She'd seen through Emily's perfect manners and Harrison's charming smile. She'd left me not just a cottage, but a foundation to rebuild on. Max patted over, resting his head on my lap as I began to type. To the woman reading this, wondering if she's crazy for noticing the small cruelties, the subtle erasures, the polite degradations. You're not crazy, you're not oversensitive, and you're not alone. My doorbell rang again. This time it was Amy, holding wine and takeout. Thought you could use dinner and gossip. The cruise line's using your story in their sexual harassment training. I laughed. Really? Apparently you're a case study in how not to treat passengers. She set out containers. Oh, and Harrison's mother? She tried to join the country club in the next town. They turned her down. Money can't buy reputation back, Wallace mused. I raised my wine glass. To karma. To evidence, Wallace countered. To both, Amy finished. And to quiet wives who keep receipts. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Christine. You were right. About everything. I'm getting help. I showed it to Wallace. Think she means it? Does it matter? He gestured at my comfortable new home, my thriving business, my peaceful life. You've already won. Back at my laptop, I continued typing. They think silence means weakness. They think compliance means defeat. But sometimes the quiet ones are just gathering evidence, building strength, waiting for the perfect moment to show them exactly who they underestimated. Amy peered over my shoulder. The book's really happening? People need to know, I said. About the subtle abuse, the financial traps, the family dynamics that enable it all. And the escape routes, Wallace added. I looked around my grandmother's cottage. Now my sanctuary, my fresh start, my victory palace. Max dozed peacefully. The evening sun painted the walls gold, and my phone remained blissfully free of Harrison's name. That's the thing about karma, I typed. It's not about revenge. It's about balance. And sometimes, balance requires you to burn the whole road behind you and build a new one ahead. Amy topped off our glasses. To new roads? I smiled, thinking of Emily's crumbling empire, Harrison's ruined career, and my own unexpected rise from quiet wife to voice of change. To new roads, I agreed, and to the women brave enough to build them.
The day my mother called me selfish was the day I stopped being her daughter. I was 17, standing in our kitchen with my college acceptance letter still warm in my hands, when she delivered the verdict that would shape the next decade of my life. My name is Felicity, and that summer changed everything. I had just been accepted into Harvard Business School's early admission program, my dream school, my ticket out. But apparently, that didn't matter as much as babysitting my bratty 15-year-old cousin Tessa during our annual family vacation to the Maldives. What do you mean you can't watch Tessa? Mom's voice carried that familiar edge of disappointment. She needs supervision while Barry attends his business meetings. Mom, I have 3 scholarship essays due next week. I can't spend my days chasing after Tessa while she shops and takes selfies. Felicity. She set down her coffee mug with deliberate slowness. Family comes first. Always. My future comes first, I countered, gripping the acceptance letter tighter. Harvard isn't just going to wait around while I... Oh, enough about Harvard. She threw her hands up. You're being selfish. Tessa needs you. Barry needs you. The family needs you. I'm not being selfish. I'm being practical. Tessa's old enough to... If you won't help with Tessa, then don't bother coming on the trip at all. The kitchen fell silent. Even the humming refrigerator seemed to hold its breath. You don't mean that, I whispered. I do. Her eyes were steel. Either you help with Tessa or you stay home. I lifted my chin. Fine, I'll stay home. Excuse me? I said I'll stay home. I'll work on my essays, apply for more scholarships, and prepare for my future. You can all go have fun in the Maldives without me. Mom's laugh was sharp and hollow. Oh, sweetie, this isn't just about this summer. If you choose your precious essays over family now, don't expect to be included in any family trips going forward. That's ridiculous, I said, but my voice shook. You can't just... I can, and I will. Actions have consequences, Felicity. It's time you learned that. She was right about one thing. Actions did have consequences. That summer, while they posted pictures from their beachfront villa, I worked 2 jobs and finished my scholarship applications. When they went skiing in Aspen that winter, I was interviewing for internships. Year after year, their vacation photos appeared on social media without me in them. My sister Sophie would sometimes call, her voice quiet and apologetic. Mom's being stubborn, she'd say. Give her time. But time only hardened the divide. I threw myself into my studies, then my career. Every exclusion, every missed family moment became fuel for my ambition. I worked harder, climbed higher, until success wasn't just a goal, it was my revenge. Now, 16 years later, I sat in my office overlooking the crystal clear waters of my own luxury resort, staring at a reservation that had just landed on my desk. The name jumped out at me like a slap. Powell Wise Family Reunion, Party of 7. My mother, my sister, Uncle Barry, Tessa, and the others had no idea they'd just booked their summer vacation at my resort. They didn't know I owned this slice of paradise, or that I'd built it from the ground up. They probably thought I was still that selfish teenager who chose ambition over family. Walker, my business partner, leaned against my desk. You could just cancel their reservation. No, I smiled, running my finger over the confirmation letter. I want them to see exactly what their selfish little girl accomplished. Felicity, he gave me that look, the one that said I was playing with fire. Don't worry, I said, standing to face the window. I'm not going to make a scene. I'm just going to give them the best vacation of their lives and watch their faces when they realize who's been hosting them. My phone buzzed. Another booking notification. I glanced at it and froze. The dates finally registered in my mind. They'd booked their stay over July 15th, my mother's 60th birthday. I laughed, the sound echoing off the glass walls of my office. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Should I be concerned about that laugh? Walker asked. Not at all, I replied, already planning the welcome champagne, the suite upgrades, the special birthday arrangements. I'm just going to give my mother exactly what she deserves, the birthday surprise of a lifetime. The Powell Wise party arrives in exactly 1 week, Walker announced, dropping a stack of files on my desk. Are you absolutely sure about this? I was inspecting the newly renovated beachfront villa, the one I specifically assigned to my family. The ocean breeze carried the scent of plumeria through the open windows as I adjusted a throw pillow for the 100th time. Stop asking me that, I said, moving to straighten a painting. I've been sure about this for 16 years. It's just... Walker hesitated, following me onto the villa's private deck. This isn't just any week. It's your mother's birthday celebration. I'm aware. And you don't think that might make things more explosive? I turned to face him. What's your point? My point is that revenge served cold is one thing. Revenge served on your mother's 60th birthday might be nuclear. A staff member appeared at the door, clipboard in hand. Ms. Felicity, the special order champagne has arrived. Where would you like it stored? In the main cellar, please. And make sure the 82 Bordeaux is ready for the birthday dinner. After the staff member left, Walker raised an eyebrow. Expensive wine? That doesn't sound very vengeful. The best revenge is success, Walker. I want them to see exactly what I've built while they were busy excluding me from their perfect little family vacations. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. Hey sis, wish you could join us next week. Missing you. I ignored it, just like I'd ignored the last dozen similar messages. Sophie meant well, but she'd never stood up to Mom, never challenged the status quo. Her quiet support meant nothing when she still participated in my exclusion. Speaking of family, Walker said, watching me pocket my phone, your sister's been trying to reach you. I know. You could tell her you'll be here. And ruin the surprise? Where's the fun in that? I walked back inside, checking the amenities list. Besides, she's part of this too. She could have refused to go on these trips without me, but she didn't. Walker picked up a framed photo from the side table, one I'd specifically placed there. It showed my family in the Maldives, the vacation I'd missed because I wouldn't babysit Tessa. They were all smiling, sun-kissed and happy, not a care in the world about the daughter they left behind. You know what this reminds me of? Walker set down the photo. Remember that investor who tried to steal your initial business plan? The one you could have destroyed but chose to work with instead? That was different. Was it? Because you told me then that success was the best revenge too. But you didn't just show him your success. You turned him into an ally. Made more money that way. I stopped my inspection rounds. Are you suggesting I try to reconcile with them? I'm suggesting that maybe there's more than one way to win this game. Before I could respond, my tablet chimed with an alert. I pulled up the message and felt my breath catch. They've added a note to their reservation. They want to book the private dining room for a special birthday dinner. Guest count 15. 15? Walker frowned. I thought it was 7. They've invited extended family. I scrolled through the updated guest list, recognizing names I hadn't heard in years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone except me, apparently. Felicity, No. I held up a hand. Don't. This just proves I'm right. They're still excluding me, still pretending I don't exist. Well, they're about to find out just how wrong they've been about me all these years. I strode to the villa's bar and grabbed a bottle of water, trying to calm my racing heart. Make sure everything is perfect for their arrival. I want them to be completely relaxed, totally at ease. Then, when they're settling in for their first dinner, you'll make your grand entrance? Something like that. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. After all, what kind of host would I be if I didn't personally welcome such important guests? Walker sighed, picking up his files. Just remember, you built this place to be a paradise. Don't turn it into a battlefield. As he left, I walked out onto the deck again, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of gold and pink. In just 7 days, my family would be standing here, admiring the same view. They'd be amazed by the luxury, impressed by the service, completely unaware that their black sheep daughter was the architect of their perfect vacation, until I chose to reveal myself. I pulled out my phone and finally replied to Sophie's text. Don't worry about me. I have a feeling this will be a birthday Mom never forgets. I watched their arrival from my office's hidden observation deck, heart pounding as the resort's luxury shuttle pulled up to the entrance. Mom stepped out first, still elegant at 60, her designer sunglasses perched perfectly on her nose. Sophie followed, then Uncle Barry helping Tessa with her mountain of luggage. They're here, Walker announced unnecessarily through my earpiece. I can see that. I adjusted my resort manager's blazer. How's the welcome champagne? Chilled and ready. Are you sure you want to do the initial greeting yourself? Absolutely. I took a deep breath. Time to make an entrance. I rode the private elevator down to the lobby, timing my arrival just as they finished checking in. The marble floors echoed with my heels as I approached the front desk, where my mother was already questioning the staff about dinner reservations. Welcome to Paradise Cove, I said, my voice carrying across the lobby. I trust your journey was comfortable? Mom turned, the polite smile freezing on her face as recognition hit her. She stumbled back slightly, catching herself on the counter. Felicity? Mrs. Powell, I replied smoothly, extending my hand. As resort manager, I personally welcome all our VIP guests. The lobby fell silent. Sophie's mouth hung open. Tessa clutched her phone mid-selfie, and Uncle Barry's luggage slipped from his grip, thudding onto the marble floor. Resort? Manager? Mom's voice wavered. Among other things, I gestured to the waiting staff. Please, allow us to escort you to your villa. We've prepared welcome refreshments. Mom's shock quickly morphed into something else, that familiar calculating look I'd grown up with. You work here? Not exactly. I led them toward the beachfront path, enjoying every click of my heels against the wooden boardwalk. I own this place. The sound of someone choking behind me was probably Uncle Barry. Inside the villa, champagne was already being poured as the family scattered around the living room, still processing my presence. Sophie kept shooting me uncertain smiles, while Tessa hadn't looked up from her phone, probably already posting about this dramatic turn of events. This is unexpected, Mom finally said, gripping her champagne flute too tightly. Is it? I perched on the arm of a chair. 16 years is a long time to wonder what happened to your daughter. We didn't wonder, she replied sharply. You chose to distance yourself. Did I? I smiled, all teeth. I seem to remember being told I wasn't welcome on family vacations unless I agreed to be Tessa's personal babysitter. That's not, Mom started, but Uncle Barry cut her off. Wait, what? That's why Felicity stopped coming on trips? It's ancient history, Mom waved her hand dismissively. What matters is that Felicity has apparently done, well, for herself. Her tone suggested she was still deciding if that was a good thing. Very well, I confirmed, standing, Paradise Cove is one of the top-rated luxury resorts in the Pacific. We're booked solid year-round, and our waiting list is months long. Then why accept our reservation? Sophie finally spoke up. Because family comes first. I echoed Mom's old words back to her. Always. The silence that followed was delicious. Well, I continued, moving toward the door, I'll let you all get settled. Your dinner reservation is at 7 in our main restaurant. I've taken the liberty of arranging something special. Felicity, wait, Sophie called out, but I was already closing the door behind me. Walker was waiting outside. That went well. That was just the appetizer. I started walking back to my office. Wait until they see what I have planned for dinner. I saw your mother's face. He fell into step beside me. She looked shocked, impressed, horrified, scared, he said quietly, like she's waiting for the other shoe to drop. Good. I stopped at the elevator. She should be. Felicity, don't start, Walker. This is just beginning. The elevator doors opened with a soft ding. By the way, did you confirm the photographer for Mom's birthday dinner? Yes, but perfect. I stepped into the elevator. Make sure they get plenty of shots of everyone's faces when I give my toast. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of my family's villa in the distance. Through the windows, I could see them all huddled together, probably discussing what just happened. Mom was gesturing animatedly, Sophie looked worried, and Tessa was finally looking up from her phone, staring in my direction with an unreadable expression. Let them talk. Let them worry. They had no idea what I had planned for the next few days. After all, revenge, like fine wine, only gets better with age. I was reviewing the evening's dinner arrangements when someone knocked on my office door. Sophie stood there, looking exactly like she did when we were kids, and she'd sneak into my room after one of Mom's lectures. Can we talk? She asked. I'm rather busy. I gestured at the papers on my desk. Please? She stepped inside anyway. This is the first time I've seen you in person in, 5 years? 4 years? 8 months? Your wedding. I set down my pen. You know, the one where Mom seated me at the back with the college friends you haven't spoken to since freshman year. Sophie winced. I didn't know about the seating arrangement until... Save it. I stood up, walking to the window. What do you want, Sophie? I want to understand. This place, it's incredible. Why didn't you tell me? Would it have mattered? Would you have stopped going on the family trips if you knew? Before she could answer, another voice cut in. Excuse me, is this a bad time? A man stood in my doorway, tall, tanned, with the kind of smile that probably got him out of speeding tickets. I recognized him from the guest registry. Connor, staying in the oceanfront suite for a week. Mr. Garrett. I straightened. How can I help you? Please, call me Connor. He glanced between Sophie and me. I was hoping to discuss extending my stay, but I can come back. No need. I turned to Sophie. We're done here. We're not, Sophie insisted. And you know it. Connor cleared his throat. I actually have a dinner reservation in 20 minutes. Perhaps I could come back tomorrow? Something about his diplomatic tone made me pause. Join us for dinner instead. I was just about to head down to inspect the service anyway. Sophie's eyes widened. Felicity? Perfect, Connor smiled. Though I hope I'm not interrupting a family reunion. Actually, I said, you're providing a welcome buffer for one. The restaurant was already filling up when we arrived. I spotted my mother at our family's reserved table, watching us with narrowed eyes as we approached with Connor. Mom, I said sweetly, I hope you don't mind if we join you. Mr. Garrett here is one of our most valued guests. Of course not, she replied with equally false sweetness. We always have room for friends. Tessa looked up from her phone for the first time since arriving. Wait, aren't you that guy from the fitness app commercials? Connor laughed, guilty as charged. Though I prefer to think of myself as a tech entrepreneur who occasionally gets roped into marketing. Fascinating, Mom cut in. Felicity, dear, I was just telling everyone about how surprised we are to find you here. Who would have thought our little rebel would end up in hospitality? I signaled the waiter for wine. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? Like finding out your daughter owns one of the most exclusive resorts in the Pacific, rather than just working here. Uncle Barry choked on his water. Owns? Tessa's eyes went wide. Like, for real? For real, I confirmed, as the sommelier appeared with a bottle of ridiculously expensive Bordeaux. I built this place from the ground up. Every detail, every design choice, every luxury amenity, all me. With investors, surely, Mom interjected. Actually, Connor spoke up, Paradise Cove is famous for being independently owned. It was a major talking point when I was researching vacation spots. He turned to me. I had no idea I was dining with the founder herself. Mom's smile tightened. How lovely that our Felicity has made such interesting connections. Speaking of connections, I said, Tessa, how's college? Still studying fashion design? How did you know that? Tessa blinked. I make it my business to know everything about my guests. I sipped my wine, including the fact that Mom's birthday dinner this weekend will have 15 people, not 7. The table fell silent. You should join us, Sophie blurted out, for Mom's birthday dinner. You're here anyway, and I'll be there, I interrupted. I'm hosting it after all. Mom set down her fork with a clang. You're what? Hosting. I've arranged everything. The menu, the wine pairings, the entertainment. Consider it 16 years of missed birthday presents rolled into one. How thoughtful. Mom's voice could have frozen the tropical air around us. Connor cleared his throat. The food here is exceptional. I particularly recommend the sea bass. As conversation reluctantly turned to safer topics, I caught Sophie watching me with a mixture of concern and curiosity. She'd seen something in my expression, something that worried her. Good, because the birthday dinner wasn't just going to be a celebration, it was going to be a reckoning. And I had the perfect toast prepared. The private dining room buzzed with conversation as 15 members of my extended family settled in for Mom's birthday dinner. I stood at the entrance, watching them fawn over the elaborate decorations, the custom menu cards, the crystal champagne flutes, all carefully chosen to showcase exactly what their outcast daughter had achieved. Quite the turnout. Connor appeared beside me, adjusting his tie. Thanks for the last-minute invitation. Thanks for accepting. I needed a friendly face in the crowd. Ready to watch the show? Is that what this is? Before I could respond, Mom clinked her glass, commanding attention like she always did. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate my 60th birthday. And... She paused, looking directly at me. Thank you, Felicity, for this unexpected hospitality. Oh, I'm just getting started, I smiled, moving to the head of the table. Would anyone like to see some photos of the resort's development? I had them specially prepared for tonight. Walker, right on cue, dimmed the lights as a screen descended from the ceiling. The first image appeared, a younger me, standing on an undeveloped beach, blueprints in hand. This was day 1, I said, when it was just empty beach and a dream, and a trust fund I'd been saving since I was 17. Mom's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. The next slide showed construction beginning. I lived in a trailer on site for 2 years, overseeing every detail. This was during the summer of 2015. I believe you were all in Bali that year. Aunt Margaret shifted uncomfortably. Uncle Barry suddenly became very interested in his napkin. And here, another slide, is opening day. We were fully booked within hours of announcing our launch. The same day, actually, that the family was posting photos from that ski trip in Aspen. Felicity, Sophie warned quietly. But my favorite photo, I continued, as the next image appeared, is this one. The screen showed a familiar scene, my family on a beach, all smiles and sunburns. The vacation I'd missed because I wouldn't babysit Tessa. Where did you get that? Mom's voice shook slightly. It was on social media. Public post. I've kept every photo from every vacation I wasn't invited to. 16 years worth. Tessa put down her phone. Is that why I found all those old vacation albums in my suite? You did what? Mom snapped. I thought our guests might enjoy some light reading. I signaled the servers to begin serving dinner. I had copies made, one for each room. That's enough! Mom stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I don't know what game you're playing. Game? I laughed. This isn't a game, Mom. This is karma. This is what happens when you cast out your daughter for daring to have ambitions beyond babysitting. I never cast you out. I chose to prioritize my future over being Tessa's unpaid nanny, and you punished me for it, for 16 years. The room fell silent except for the gentle clink of servers placing plates. Is that true? Tessa looked at her father. Is that why Felicity stopped coming on trips? Uncle Barry wouldn't meet her eyes. It was complicated. It wasn't complicated at all, I said. Mom gave me an ultimatum. Babysit or be excluded. I chose exclusion. And look where it got me. Where it got you, Mom's voice was ice, is bitter and alone in your big, empty resort, orchestrating elaborate revenge plots instead of simply talking to your family. Talking? I stepped closer to her. Like when I tried to talk to you after graduation, or when I tried to explain why I couldn't watch Tessa, or maybe like when I sent you my business plan and you returned it unopened. I returned it because you were being stubborn. I was being ambitious. Ladies, Connor stood up, his voice calm but firm. Perhaps we should stay out of this. Mom and I snapped simultaneously. No, he said, surprising us both. Look around. This is supposed to be a celebration, but you're both so focused on winning that you can't see what you're losing. I followed his gesture to see Sophie crying silently, Tessa staring at her lap, Uncle Barry looking years older than he had at check-in. Felicity, Walker appeared at my elbow. There's an urgent call from the mainland about tomorrow's shipment. There wasn't. It was our predetermined escape signal if things got too heated. I took it. Enjoy your dinner, I said, straightening my jacket. The resort's signature chocolate souffle will be served for dessert. It's made with the same recipe I was working on the summer I wasn't invited to the Maldives. As I walked out, I heard Mom's quiet voice. What have we done? But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Because if I stopped now, I'd have to admit that revenge didn't taste nearly as sweet as I'd imagined. I was in my office, staring at weather reports warning of an approaching storm, when someone knocked. Not Walker's usual quick rap or Sophie's hesitant tap. This was determined, steady. Come in, Tessa. My cousin stepped inside, looking different from the phone-obsessed girl who'd arrived days ago. She carried one of the photo albums I'd planted in their rooms. How'd you know it was me? Security cameras. I pointed to the monitor on my desk. Plus, you're the only one brave enough to face me after last night's dinner. About that, she sat down without being invited. I've been looking through these albums, all the vacations, all the photos, 16 years of them. Quite the collection, isn't it? It's messed up, she said bluntly. What they did to you, what I did to you. I hadn't expected that. You were 15. Yeah, and I was a spoiled brat who threw tantrums until I got my way. She opened the album to a specific page. Look at this one. Me sulking because Dad wouldn't buy me a jet ski. And here's you, in the only photo I could find from that summer, studying at your desk while we were all in the Maldives. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Storm's coming, I said, trying to change the subject. Stop deflecting. Tessa leaned forward. You built all this to show them they were wrong about you, right? To prove something? I built it because I'm good at what I do. Bull. She stood up, pacing. You built it because every time they excluded you, every time they chose me over you, it made you more determined to succeed. I get it now. A knock at the door interrupted us. Walker entered, looking concerned. The storm's picking up speed, he said. We need to start moving guests inland. Already? I checked the radar. The mass of red and orange had grown significantly. It wasn't supposed to hit until tomorrow. Weather Service just upgraded it. We need to start evacuations now. My phone buzzed. A text from Connor. Entire families gathering in the main lobby. Thought you should know. Great, I muttered. Just what I need. Go, Tessa said. Be the boss. Show them exactly who you've become. The lobby was chaos when I arrived. Guests milled around nervously as my staff efficiently directed them towards safer areas. My family huddled near the check-in desk, Mom trying to take charge as usual. We need to leave immediately, she was telling Sophie. Get our things and... Nobody's leaving, I announced, striding up. The roads are already flooding. Everyone's moving to the inland building until the storm passes. You can't keep us here, Mom started. Actually, I can, and I will. This is a mandatory evacuation order for all beachfront buildings. I turned to address the crowd. Everyone, please remain calm. Our inland facility is built to withstand Category 5 hurricanes. You'll all be safe and comfortable there. She's right. Connor appeared, tablet in hand. I checked the building specs. It's one of the most secure structures in the Pacific. Mom opened her mouth to argue, but Uncle Barry cut her off. Leah, let her do her job. Her job, Mom scoffed. This is just another power play. A massive thunderclap shook the windows, making several people scream. The lights flickered. Mom, I said firmly, for once in your life, please just listen to me. Something in my voice must have reached her because she fell silent. Walker, I called out, start the evacuation protocol. VIP guests to the 3rd floor, standard rooms on 1 and 2. Full storm procedures in effect. As my staff efficiently began moving people, Tessa appeared at my elbow. What can I do to help? I looked at her in surprise. You want to help? I owe you 16 years of support. Might as well start now. For the next hour, we worked together, directing guests, distributing emergency supplies, setting up comfort stations. Tessa proved surprisingly capable, anticipating needs before they arose. Even Mom eventually stopped trying to take control and started helping distribute blankets. By midnight, everyone was safely installed in the inland building. The storm raged outside, but inside, an unexpected calm had settled over the evacuees. Families played board games in the lounges, kids built blanket forts, and my staff served hot chocolate and cookies. I found Tessa in one of the quiet corners, still clutching that photo album. You know what I realized? She said as I sat down. In all these photos, everyone's smiling, but they're not really happy. They're just pretending everything's perfect. That's what our family does best. Not anymore. She pulled out her phone, opened the camera, and scooted closer to me. Time for a new album. One with real smiles. As the flash went off, capturing our first photo together in 16 years, I heard Mom's voice behind us. Room for one more? The storm outside grew stronger, but somehow the thunder didn't seem quite so threatening anymore. The storm trapped us in the inland building for 2 days. By hour 36, with wind still howling outside, we'd run out of small talk and forced politeness. That's when the real storm hit. Inside. I still don't understand, Mom said, pacing our makeshift command center in the building's conference room. Why didn't you just tell us about the resort? Would you have believed me? I looked up from the weather reports. Or would you have assumed I was lying to get attention? That's not fair, isn't it? I turned to face her. When I told you about my business plan, you said I was being unrealistic. When I got my first investor, you told relatives I was playing entrepreneur. I was trying to protect you. From what? Success? Sophie, who'd been quietly helping sort emergency supplies, spoke up. From failing. Right, Mom? That's what this was always about. Mom sank into a chair. I didn't want you to get hurt. So you heard her first, Tessa said from the doorway. She'd been helping distribute snacks to guests. Real solid logic there, Aunt Leah. Tessa, Uncle Barry warned. No, she's right. Mom's voice cracked. I was terrified. The room fell silent except for the storm's rage outside. Terrified of what? I asked. Of you. She met my eyes. You were so bright, so determined, just like your father before he left us for his big dreams and never came back. I couldn't watch you make the same mistakes. So you made them for me? The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. Mom, Sophie interrupted, did you ever think that maybe Dad left because you tried to clip his wings too? I didn't, Mom started, but Connor chose that moment to burst in. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but we've got water seeping into the ground floor east wing. I switched immediately to crisis mode. Walker, get maintenance down there. Sophie, we need more towels. Tessa, already on it. Tessa grabbed emergency supplies. I'll start moving people up to higher floors. I'll help. Mom stood up. No. I held up my hand. You and I need to finish this conversation. Everyone else, go. As they filed out, Mom and I faced each other across the conference table. Outside, lightning flashed. You want to know why I didn't tell you about the resort? I said. Because I needed to prove something to myself, not you. Every time you excluded me, every time you chose perfect family photos over your actual family, I built something stronger inside myself. I never meant to. Yes, you did. You meant to control me, to force me into your perfect family mold. But here's what you didn't expect. It worked, just not the way you planned. What do you mean? Every rejection made me more determined. Every missed vacation gave me more time to work on my dreams. You tried to clip my wings, but instead you taught me to fly through storms. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I was wrong. What? I was wrong, she repeated louder. About everything. About you. About what you could become. She gestured around us. Look at what you've built. Look at how you're handling this crisis. You're not just successful, you're extraordinary. I gripped the back of a chair, steadying myself. Don't try to make this better with a few nice words. I'm not. She stepped closer. I'm trying to admit that my biggest failure wasn't in raising a rebellious daughter. It was in not seeing that my daughter's rebellion was actually her strength. Another crack of thunder, closer this time. We should check on the guests, I said, turning away. Felicity, wait. Mom grabbed my arm. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm so proud of you. Even if you never believe another word I say, please believe that. Before I could respond, Tessa burst back in. Guys, everyone's gathering in the main hall. They're scared about the storm, and they're looking for the owner to say something reassuring. I wiped my eyes quickly. Right. Yes, of course. As I headed for the door, Mom called out, Show them who you are, sweetheart. Show them what I was too blind to see. I paused in the doorway, looking back at her. Want to come watch? She smiled through her tears. I've missed enough of your moments. I'm not missing this one. Together, we walked toward the main hall, where my family, both old and new, waited to see how I'd weather this storm. And for the first time in 16 years, I felt ready to face it with them by my side. The morning after the storm broke, I stood on the resort's main deck, surveying the damage. Palm trees were scattered like pickup sticks, and the beach had transformed into a new landscape, but the buildings stood strong, just like me. Impressive construction, Connor said, joining me at the railing. Both the buildings and the bridges you've built these past few days. That was terrible, I laughed. Do you practice those lines? Only the good ones, he smiled. Your mother's looking for you, by the way. Something about breakfast? I checked my watch. Right? The birthday breakfast we'd rescheduled after the storm disrupted our dinner plans. Want to join us? Actually, I should head out. My flight's in a few hours. Already? The storm extended my stay longer than planned. He hesitated, though I wouldn't mind coming back, if the owner approves. Before I could respond, Walker appeared with a tablet. Damage reports ready. Also, your family's gathered in the private dining room. Thanks. I turned back to Connor. The owner definitely approves. In the dining room, I found a scene I never expected. Mom arranging flowers, while Tessa helped Sophie set up a breakfast buffet. Uncle Barry was attempting to fix a twisted banner that read, "Happy Birthday." "Need help?" I asked. "We've got it," Tessa said. "Though fair warning, I made the coffee and I have no idea what I'm doing. I brought backup." Walker appeared with the resort's barista and a professional coffee service. "Always prepared," Mom smiled. "Just like you." As we settled around the table, the morning sun streaming through windows that had weathered yesterday's storm, Sophie raised her glass. "A toast?" "Actually," I said, "I have something to say first." I pulled out an envelope. "Mom, this was supposed to be part of my big revenge reveal at your birthday dinner, but, well, plans change." She opened the envelope slowly, pulling out a deed. "What is this?" "A vacation villa. Here at the resort. It's yours." "Felicity, I can't." "You can. And before you protest, it's not just for you, it's for all of us." I looked around the table. No more exclusive family vacations. No more choosing who's worthy of being included. This place is big enough for all our differences. "Even mine?" Tessa grinned, because I was thinking of doing my fashion internship somewhere tropical next summer. "Don't push it," I laughed, but we both knew I meant yes. "Speaking of pushing things," Sophie said, sliding a folder across the table, "I have something for you too." Inside was a business proposal. "Resort-based wedding planning services?" "I've been thinking," she said. "My event planning business in the city is doing well, but maybe it's time for an expansion. If you're interested in a partnership." "Partners," I tested the word. "I like it." "Me too," Mom said quietly. "Though I hope there's room for one more partner. I may be retired, but I do have 30 years of hospitality experience." I met her eyes across the table. "We'll start small, maybe consulting on the holiday programs." She nodded, understanding the olive branch for what it was. "Well," Uncle Barry stood up, "since we're all sharing news, Tessa, should you tell them? Or should I?" Tessa bounced in her seat. "We're moving. Dad's opening a new office here on the island." "Really?" Mom looked surprised. "Really?" he confirmed. "After seeing what Felicity built here, well, let's just say it inspired some changes." Walker cleared his throat from the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt, but the contractors are here to assess the storm damage." "Go," Mom waved me off. "We'll handle cleanup here." "You sure?" "Positive." She stood up, straightening her shirt. "Though I might stop by later to see how the repairs are going. If that's okay?" "More than okay." I headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Mom, happy birthday." "Thank you, sweetheart." She smiled. "Though I think you're the one who got the best gift. Your family back." "No," I corrected her. "We all got something better. A fresh start." As I walked through my storm-battered but standing resort, I heard laughter from the dining room behind me. Not the forced, photo-perfect laughter from those old vacation albums, but real, messy, imperfect joy. The kind that weather any storm. The kind worth waiting 16 years for. The kind that feels like home. I pulled out my phone and texted Connor. "About that return visit, how does next month sound?" His reply came instantly. "Perfect. I hear the owner runs a pretty good resort." I smiled, looking back at my family through the dining room windows. "She's learning," I typed back. "She's finally learning."